Also, I will just say, don't you ever dare try and get out on the TL one like that. Like, and then they hired someone else, the guy who's like my best fucking pal I just had on the show and still pretends to a coach. And then they hire this other fucking idiot, my best friend, and then he failed, so that's my fault now.
That I was a fucking good coach, that I ran a good system, that I was given fucking nothing on TL, and I took them to game 5 versus fucking CLG, and when I left, they went double relegation, and they were unrelegated without fucking double F fucking carrying their ass, and I would have personally relegated them. Sure, that's not my fault, Dorian. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you.
Right, this is going to be episode 25 or 24. Either way, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? Add one or remove one. Who gives a fuck? Just get a wee life. It's not a big deal. Look in the description box. Can you see that? Is it the same as what I said? Who gives a fuck? So we're here on the episode. Listen, Loco. Again, I don't know why. It's almost like because I made that point to you a while ago that I don't use the actual catchphrase of the title enough. Now I feel like I got self-conscious. So now when I would say it, I just don't. I just say like, listen, you Korean fucking washed up cunt. Here's some other things about League that you disagree with. Yeah, we'll just start like that. We'll just listen. We're just got to set the bar for where it's going to be at. Okay, Dom, this isn't Hotline League, homie. You know,
I've never been on that show.
It's weird. Everyone else who's been associated with Team Liquid in the entire history of the org has. So, don't know.
I've been on the show.
Just saying. You know.
We'll see. I don't know if that's my type of show, dude. I think
I don't feel like it's for you.
I think I'm like maybe like too edgy or like abrasive for a show like that. Not sure.
Yes, indeed. Right, what about this then? So I was told by Loco that we could on this episode talk specifically about some League play. We could talk about LCS, we can talk about LEC. But before then, let's obviously talk about some aspects that you're more known for more recently, streaming, etc., former life as a pro. Right, here's the question I have, Dom, is when you're in a position where you've retired from being an active pro, in theory, you can now just give us like inside scoop on a whole bunch of things over the years. I know people, if they watched, for example, the Beyond the Rift episode, you gave like some of the old Dignitas stories. Yeah. Like, I've got a question for you. Was it ever actually, because there's always rumors during every off season of like who could have gone where and what moves might have happened, you know. Is it true that at one point in time there were offers out there where you could have been, for example, like a TSM jungler? We could have had IWillDominate on TSM. Were there ever bigger offers out there?
I never got to speak to TSM. Like, I was always under contract when I was a player, like for the next year. I never had an off season where I wasn't like still contracted to Team Liquid. So the only time that I really had really had downtime is when I like officially retired from TL. And like the best offer or like the best team that approached me was Cloud9. That was like the split that they had Rush, and then like obviously those problems with Jensen and Rush, and they were looking for a new jungler. They ended up going with Meteos, but like Jack reached out to me. I think I could have like probably went to Korea and like competed versus Meteos for that spot. But yeah, I mean, I think at that point I was like already so set on streaming. Like, I just wanted to, the thing was pro play to me was like not exciting. Like playing on stage was exciting, but I fucking hated the day to day. Like just scrimming with people that like don't really give a fuck. It's just so boring, and like to me it just seemed worthless. So I already hated scrimming. I wanted to do something else, and I was actually excited about like becoming a content creator. It's like, oh shit, like how many YouTube subs can I get, like, and stuff, like how many people are going to be following my Twitch, like all that type of thing. All those types of things were way more exciting than the potential of like playing on a team again. And if you remember, that was a split. The Cloud9 ended 5th or like 5th, 6th, I think was where they were. And like High was leaving the team, so I didn't even know if the team was going to be good or not, or like, you know, what the deal was. But yeah, I never got talked to by TSM. I got talked to by Cloud9, Echo Fox from Renegades. Like that split was the last split where teams reached out to me, and then after I like rejected a bunch of offers, just no one ever talked to me again. They just assumed that I was just gonna like.
By the way, with the timeline, I might be wrong on this, but I'm sure from my memory that the actual timeline wasn't the split where Loco took over as coach of Team Liquid. Mm-hmm. What, yep. Didn't he like take over and you just instantly were like, I retire from that? Like, it does look a bit like that. It does look kind of like the time. Wasn't it exactly like that? Like, he retired immediately afterwards.
Well, I mean, like, to be honest, like that, the reason that Loco became the coach was just because it was such a shit show already, that split. Like, Loco didn't even want to coach. He literally joined Team Liquid like, I'm going to be a content creator. And we had this guy named fucking Randy, right? And this guy Randy was like a football coach, and he came in. He was like, "I'm gonna fucking crack heads, and I'm gonna keep everyone in like in fucking line," you know. And we thought that this was gonna. It's like, okay, this is what we need, you know, like because before there was a divide in the team. It was like Piglet and Phoenix, and then the NA players. It was just a huge divide, right? And then there was like that whole thing, like the Quas story, which I can't really go into, but like Quas got suspended, Xpecial got kicked, and then like Smoothie pretty much got benched because like Piglet didn't like his work ethic or something like that, pretty much. And he like needed time to adapt. So like all this shit was happening, and then we didn't even have a fucking coach. Like we actually did not have a coach. We didn't have any strategic coach. The plan was that the players were gonna be our own strategic coaches. Like I'm not even fucking.
Wait.
Mark quit. Like he was gonna be our strategic coach. Like it was actually a train wreck.
I'm not sure if I revealed this, but I'm sure Dom knows too. So when they had Randy and they had Mark, and then Mark wanted to quit, Steve's solution to that was we're gonna get Heisendong, and he's gonna coach online. So it was Heisendong.
Heisendong was coaching us online. It was actually a fucking joke. I mean, essentially, like all this shit's happening in my team, right? And I just played in a split where we got 2/3 and we didn't make it to Worlds. Yes. And then I saw all this shit happening, and I'm like, okay, now we have like rookie top laner Lorlo, and like maybe it's gonna be Smoothie or Matt, and then like Dardak and I were like gonna be competing. And then at that time, I think the thing that most people will be surprised by was the fact that Dardak was actually like shy or like nervous to play on stage. Like he like everyone thinks that he would be like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking be the best fucking jungler, like I'm in here now, like it's my fucking team. Like no, he was like, I don't like. In November I started like hitting him up like, yo, I want you to play for the main team so I can get the fuck out of here. Like that's when I started talking to him, and he was like, please no, like I like my team, I like my academy team. He really liked being on TLA at that time, and he didn't want to play LCS immediately. He wanted like more time to adapt, or like if he did play LCS, he wanted it to be like a two jungler type thing, like where we were both the main team jungler, and then we had like an academy jungler that was doing their own thing, and like we'd like switch in and out, or like I would watch his scrims and like give him advice, and so like there was like a whole different dynamic than people actually knew at that point. And when I saw all this shit happening, like we didn't have a fucking coach, like our football coach, like we fired Randy before the split even started because he just had no clue about like League at all. Like people were literally muting Discord or like muting whatever voice communication we use. I think it was maybe TeamSpeak. People were muting TeamSpeak during fucking like scrim talk. But when we were picking champions, champ select, people were muting Discord. Like Piglet and Phoenix would randomly mute Discord, and like he wouldn't know like what Discord was or like if they're muted or not, and like all this shit. So he wasn't even able to like actually like get people in order. And it just ended up being just like a complete shit show. And I saw no way that team ended up doing like, but like I honestly thought that getting fourth that split with like Matt and Dardak, I thought that was
amazing. Yeah,
I think that was like an overperformance. I'm like, damn, they got fourth. Shit, that's like better than I thought that they would do. And like Dardak played way better than I expected. I thought he would be good. I didn't know he'd be like insane. He was actually like pretty fucking insane. And then I look at that and I'm like, I don't think I could have played better than Dardak that split or the next split. And then they ended up like 4th and 6th. So it made me feel like so like validated in my opinion. It's like, yeah, what the fuck? Like there's no way like I'm making Worlds with that team. So
we didn't even just get 4th. We took CLG to game 5, and it was really fucking close game 5. It was the double teleport onto Piglet, and Piglet died. Like that game could have gone either way. Like we could have potentially knocked CLG off and played TSM in the finals. Like that would have been the first final appearance for Liquid. Like
and that was heartbreaking for TL fans, because if you remember, the last spring split before that was the split that we got reverse swept by Cloud9 in semis the same way. So there was 2 times where like Team Liquid had an opportunity to advance the finals, had 2 games, and then didn't do it 2 years in a row. So I mean, like I don't know, it felt like perfect timing, you know.
The only thing is, when you say that, like when you were talking about the divide in the team, etc., like I think people would probably be surprised that people like Piglet and Phoenix are the ones who weren't responding well to this coach. Like, could he just not win people's authority over? Like, you would think Koreans would kind of like that setup, right?
No, I think Koreans like Korean coaches. That's my interpretation. I think Koreans respect Korean coaches, and if you don't have like a massive history, I mean, I think if you're like an NA coach and you have a really good history of success, they'll buy in. But if it's like some random like football coach that knows nothing about the game, like I don't think Koreans really respect that. That's what I think. I don't know. What's your take on it, Loco?
Well, especially for Piglet and Phoenix are, I mean, we'll definitely talk more on this. They just respect player skill, and they think how to be good in League of Legends and how to what your job as a player is move your keyboard and move your mouse like the correct way and press the right buttons. And if you can't teach someone to do that, then you're worthless as a coach. And that's how they kind of view it. And I think your experience with Koreans is really different because Piglet was a very specific type of person. And I think Piglet taught Phoenix a lot of his own viewpoints. And Phoenix basically became another version of Piglet. So
True.
I think those two players definitely have that viewpoint, and I agree with you on that. It's not true for all Korean players, but for Piglet and Phoenix, 100% agree.
Fair. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it just wasn't working out, man. Like I don't know what else to say. Like you look at that team, and it just felt like it was never gonna happen.
Did you actually ever have problems playing with the Koreans in your team? Like, during your era, were they okay?
It was weird because like I would have problems with Piglet, but like on stage we normally got like so we had phases, right? In Spring Split, like remember like the time where Piglet got benched for 2 weeks? Essentially that was like because Piglet and I like couldn't play together. Like his mentality about the game at that time was literally, if I am winning lane,
Come bot.
you come to my lane 100%. That is his mentality. Like if I am winning lane like 2v2, if the other jungler comes and you don't come, you're making the mistake, you know? And the thing that I would always say to that is I'm like, well, we have like other lane dominant players at the like Quas was a good player. Phoenix was a good laner. Like both those players could fucking dominate lane. So I'm like, what happens if all their lanes are winning? Then where do I go? You know, we never really got to the bottom of it. But then there was like a period. So I think that essentially like I earned Piglet's respect because when like he got like benched or whatever, or like he like took the time off to probably whatever you want to call that situation, I popped off in LCS, and then like he was like, okay, I'll let you do what you want, you know? It's like he gave me freedom to like, okay, you can play the fucking game now, you know? Like I'll just listen to you. So in summer we were good, you know? Like he just respected like everything that I did. There was never any problems. And then like coming into like 2016 spring, we just had like the same problem again. It literally felt like the same thing. And one of the things that I hated so much about like having the coaching change is Peter and Mark like understood how we were and could like work with us better. Like they understood like how to do that. And then when we like went to like this system with Randy, it felt like our problems just like came back and then they were just never getting fixed. Like it was actually like the same thing that happened every day. And it literally got to the point in scrims where we were literally trolling each other. Like we were actually trolling each other. Like I would tell him that the jungler was coming bot, and like he would know the jungler was coming bot, but it's like I don't want to go there right now, and like he didn't want to back off, and it's like, well, what? I'm not coming, and then you're not backing off.
Chicken.
So, yeah. It's like what's gonna happen, motherfucker? Like what's gonna happen? Like are you gonna back off, or am I gonna fucking come? Like, and then he would just like suicide in lane. I remember there was like a time where I literally just like quit the scrim set. I think Loco remembers. I literally quit the scrim set. And I just left the game. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing the rest of the scrim set. Like we're done here. And we just literally talked about it for like the next like 2 hours, like what our problems were and shit. Like it actually got kind of ugly towards the end, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Piglet was, I think the offseason did a number on Piglet. I think it bloated the fuck out of his ego. I think that's the year that Piglet got re-signed, right? When you guys didn't make Worlds. Piglet got re-signed. Piglet wanted a pay raise. Steve gave it to him. Piglet wanted a new support instead of X Special. Steve gave it to him. Just Steve gave Piglet everything. Instead of Piglet being disciplined for shitty behavior from last year, because Steve wanted to re-sign him so badly, I think he just gave in and gave Piglet pretty much everything that he wanted. I don't want to work with Peter. Peter's gone. I don't want to work with X Special. X Special's gone. I want a pay raise. He got the pay raise. So where I felt like Piglet had to be disciplined and he had to learn shit, he just got everything he wanted, so he became even more of a baby. And
plus, you know, the old saying,
it's weird though, because when we played on stage, like I swear that shit wouldn't actually like when we played on stage, it was a completely different type of thing. Like we wouldn't like fuck with each other. We would like play the game together, but it's just like in scrims we could not like agree on the fundamental way to play League, because I didn't think that the game was like completely bot centric at that point. You know, like I was like, damn, I have like a fucking, I thought Phoenix was a beast mid laner, like one of the like probably the best laning mid laner in the league. And I thought that Quas was insane too. And I just wanted to go like different places in different games, you know, like, and we always had this divide because like sometimes we would just want to like, you know, season 5, there was a lot of metas where it was like, all right, you just first pick fucking Sivir and you just throw the fucking Sivir down there and he just wave clears for the first 15 minutes of the game. And then he just presses R in a team fight and you play like Maokai top, and fucking Olaf jungle, and you just press R on Sivir and you just run them the fuck over. That was literally like the play style, and we just never like.
And then Piglet's like, no, I need Kalista in this game.
Yeah, well, he was an insane Kalista, but Kalista was banned every game. So that was our first play. And it was like, get Kalista, win the game. Okay, everyone bans Kalista. Now it's like, can we do like these Sivir comps where we play Phoenix Azir, and then we just play like Gragas, Maokai, Sivir, and we just like run them over. Like that was like a comp that was extremely strong in Season 5. And it was almost not okay to win the game without him carrying. You know, like it almost felt like it wasn't worth it to win if he wasn't the carry of the game.
I've actually known players, funnily enough, obviously in CS, since it's a bit more of an individual game, sometimes I've done this. I've actually known some players who, if I told people who are CSGO fans, they'd be shocked, because these are like top pro players. Yeah. And I have heard them complain when their team won the game and they didn't like, they weren't the star that carried the game. Like, actually legit complain to teammates. And by the way, the teammates had a look at their face like, fuck this guy, you know, like.
It wasn't like, it wasn't a said thing, you know? It wasn't like a vocalized, like, I'm not okay with this shit. It was just like it didn't feel the same. Yeah, it didn't feel the same. Like when Piglet wins a game on Vayne, it was a completely different thing than when we won a game on Sivir. Like when we won a game on Sivir, I was like, all right, let's go home. Like when we win the game on Vayne, it's like, oh, you see my E flash here? It's so sick. Like that was
one thing that Piglet said a lot is when he won in a different way, or we made him practice in a different way. If we're gonna practice like this, if we're gonna play like this, like why am I here? Like I'm this like mechanically really, really proficient player. Like if you're playing and practicing like this, like why am I here? Like just get Fabi to play. I heard that a lot from Piglet, and that's something I dealt with.
That's what you guys did, right?
And that's what we had to do.
So here's the thing. You know that joke I've told you before, Loco, where when Yankos and Vander were in the same team as Ryu, as a joke, they used to get that clip of Ryu getting 1v1 by Faker, and they'd load the video up on Rio's screen when he was out of the room, and then when he came back in, you know, he'd like pull the screensaver off and it'd just be that video clip of him getting owned. Like, it was good. So obviously it's good banter, right? Yeah. I'd have just done that to Piglet to lower his ego. I'd have gotten like, you remember like the end of SK Telecom where he had that run where he like got like 5 kills and about 40 deaths or something. I'd have just put those VODs up, just queued up on his fucking computer, like, all right, champ, just have a look at your old body of work. You know?
Piglet did that to me all the time, you know. So there's this infamous clip of me on Kog'Maw and Piglet on Caitlyn where Piglet kills me, and he would pull that clip up all the fucking time, and he like after scrim he's like, okay, Loco, I agree, but can you do one thing for me? I'm like, what? Can you help me with something on my computer? I was like, okay, sure. So because we'd be in the back like watching scrim, like we had a scrim watching area, and Piglet would come and then he'd be like, wait, give me a minute, I'll show you the problem, and then I'll be like, okay. And then he's like, okay, Loco, you can come now. Look at this. I'm like, oh my fucking, like, first few times I laugh, and then next, like, other times I'm like, oh my fucking god, you're such a child.
I love that part of Piglet. I was like when he's just being hilarious, he'll just like, he would literally just look at Loco and be like, why are you so bad? Like, he would just ask him to say, like, why are you so fucking bad? Like,
and
I love that shit.
I get along with Piglet now, but as a player I had to coach, it was a fucking nightmare. I'll agree with Dom, and we can definitely, I wanted to talk to someone about this. I think Piglet's mindset directly impacted Phoenix, and how Phoenix turned out as a
100%,
player
100%
is 99% because of Piglet and because of Steve. So Phoenix is like a new player. This was when, I forgot who you guys had mid. Did you guys have Voyboy? And then Voyboy wanted to quit?
Voyboy, and then we tried out Pobelter, and then Pobelter went with Winter Fox over us, and then we like had no mid laner. Yeah. So we just had to like try out random people, and then we got Phoenix.
So they got Phoenix, and then Phoenix was a brand new player. He came over to play for TDK, and TL basically took Phoenix from TDK. And he's playing with a world champion, Piglet. He's like, oh my god, this is my Sunbae, someone I can learn from, someone I can, like, that's really huge in Korea, like mentorship from someone that's older than you, someone someone that's more successful than you. And Piglet fits that build to like 100%. So Piglet is very good, but very brash, very strong on his opinion, unwilling to work with his teammates, and either my way or the highway. Not so much now, but I'm talking about back then. And then Phoenix picked up all of that, and he became a carbon copy of Piglet in terms of mindset and how he viewed he should behave in North America. And I mean, there's a lot of good things that came for Phoenix. He always worked hard, and he always was very strong on his view, but there were also a lot of really, really negative things that came out of that for Phoenix. And yeah, it's pretty interesting phenomenon that happened on TL.
It's 100%. I mean, I got to experience it firsthand. Like the first time that Phoenix came, he was so excited to just like be on an LCS team and like be practicing, and like you know, he had the most like happy go lucky, like he would just be trying to help the team in any way possible, you know, like anything you told him he would just listen to it. Like he would absolutely, like he would like never talk back to anyone on the team. Like he was just like super happy to just be there. And eventually he just started adapting a different mindset where like he wanted to be the carry, he wanted to be like the star, whereas before you could literally like you could tell him to pick Lissandra like 50 games in a row in scrims and he just wouldn't care, you know. That was his mentality. And it just, a lot of it came from the fact that every single scrim, like Piglet and Phoenix would like go out and like, I don't even know if I can say it, like, yeah, they would just go out after every scrim for like 5 minutes, get some like fresh air or whatever. And I would sometimes, whatever.
Yeah, all right, okay, keep going. Yeah, fresh air, sure.
I don't fuck it. Yeah, get some fresh air. And sometimes I would go out with them, you know. And
yeah, everyone likes fresh air, you know.
It just turned out.
Keep going.
It just turned out that like eventually we would just like, it would just be like a shit talking session of whatever like went wrong. Okay. So like in between every, it would be like, this guy doesn't fucking TP quick enough. This guy doesn't know how to fucking play these champions in lane. Our coach doesn't know how to draft. And it just became like this shit talking session. And it's like impossible to not have like a negative mindset when that's all you talk about in between every single scrim. You know,
that's also the problem, isn't it? It's like you can have one Piglet, but you can't have two people like that in a team. Like the balance is just going to be so askew, especially when they do that thing where they're also aligned with each other. It's like, fucking hell, now you can't, like now you've got like a voting block within the team who's just going to vote down anything they don't like in it. So that's going to ruin any team.
Well, as much as we blame Piglet and Phoenix for the situation, I think management had such a big problem to do with it, and they never had the backbone to properly discipline Piglet and like not be okay with like some of the bullshit that he was doing, because they were so afraid that they would lose Piglet, or they
like
needed Piglet
like the 2 hours of sleep a night or that type of shit.
Yeah, like I think that a lot of problems like during the original TL fourth days falls onto management and how they handle the Piglet situation and how they handle the Phoenix situation. Where if I think like old school TL before Doublelift, if they had a star player, they always felt like we have to bend down to the will of the star player. This player is our future. We should build around him. We can fix him. And it happened with Piglet, it happened with Phoenix, and it happened with Dardoch. And if it was handled differently and Piglet, Phoenix, and Dardoch were all like told and like actually forced, like, hey, this is how our team's gonna operate, and this is the kind of behavior that's okay, this is the kind of behavior that's not okay, and actually it got enforced, I think TL would be a very different team. They never would have had to sell out and buy all those Immortal players or Doublelift. Imagine you have Piglet, Phoenix, and Dardoch on the team, and they were actually functioning together, and you could actually keep them together without like the team exploding every other day. Like, they'd be a really fucking good roster, and it would be a roster they built. It wouldn't be a roster they bought. Like, congrats to all the success TL has, but it's a roster that was bought. The roster they could have built, they failed with.
Well, I mean,
especially because, by the way, the part everyone will forget as well is obviously if they could have kept him, eventually Piglet would have become a resident as well. So that would have been, I'm sure that's what they were hoping was going to happen in a couple of years.
Yeah, it was definitely part of it. I mean, I think that one of the huge things was like the time where this became like super obvious to me was like when we had such big success with Keith, and then we immediately just benched him and went back to Piglet. Like, our record at that time, we were 5 wins, 1 loss with Keith, and we were 2 wins, 4 losses with Piglet. That's a huge fucking change in win rate. And our harder games were with Keith. So we beat CLG twice, Impulse, who was at the top elite, TSM, Gravity. And then like with Piglet, we lost to, I think we had a teammate loss. We lost to like Echo Fox. Like the only teams that we were beating were like Coast or some shit, you know? Like, we weren't beating anyone. And then it wasn't even like a let's give Keith like a chance to still fight. It was like, yeah, fuck Keith. Like, we're just using Piglet from now on, you know? Like, I was like, wait, but we've won so many fucking games. Like, this is working. Like, if it's not broke, why does it? It's like, it became this whole mentality of like, yeah, but like Keith is never going to be lane dominant. It's like, why the fuck do we need our AD carry to be lane dominant when we have Phoenix and Quas? And I was playing like, and that was like the split where it was like Rek'Sai was like super fucking meta. It's like, we have like a ganking jungler, and then we have 2 of the best solo laners in the league. Why can't we just play through fucking solo lanes? Like, you give Phoenix like 2 kills on a 0, the game's over. You know, like that's actually how the game would function. And you know, we just didn't want to do.
So in many ways, for you, Keith was a breath of fresh air.
Well, Keith was like the best fucking teammate I ever played with, to be honest. He's like just the epitome of like what it is to be a team player, you know, from an AD carry role. Like that's how he viewed it. Like
the thing I've never been able to get over with him is just his real life name, because I feel scared just saying his real name out loud in case I get banned from all of the internet.
What, Kith McBrief?
No, his real name.
Yuri Ju? Like
it just
it's a
sounds
name.
like no, but it just sounds like you got to be really careful as you say it, so people don't just instantly ban you for everything.
No, but I mean, it's just like he would literally go into like every single game. He'd be like, "Dom, I think you're gonna fucking carry because you're the best jungler in the league." He would literally just say that. Like,
who's this little suck up?
No, but it's like he'd be like, "Yeah, we have like," he's like, "Yeah, I think we're just gonna win. We have fucking special. One of the best supports. Like Phoenix is shitting on everyone. You're shitting on everyone. Quas is shitting on everyone. I just think we're gonna win. You know, that's just how he viewed it. And then we would just win through those win conditions. Like it was just like, okay, we'd all just fucking pop off and like shut up, which is so much different in terms of like the pressure it puts on your teammate. Then it's like, all right, don't fuck this up for me, dude. I'm about to carry. Give me Vayne, bitch. Like that's a completely different mindset that you're under. Okay, all right, I'm gonna fucking sit in your lane like the entire fucking game. I don't know.
If only Piglet knew the whole time, all he had to do was just come out and be like, Dom, you carry, you fucking game, you best jungler. It's like, then you'd have felt,
well,
you know,
I mean, to be honest, like he would say that too eventually, but it was just a different atmosphere, you know? It wasn't like you're gonna fucking carry the game. It was like, I think you're not gonna fuck up. Like,
that's legit. He goes, listen, you know what? I've got a good feeling, Dom. You're not going to feed this game. Anyway, let's play. Like,
right. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why we had success in spring, even with like Piglet's attitude and all that. I'm not sure. This was never on Breaking Point, so all the fucking good shit I did was never on Breaking Point. So before I agreed to coach, I actually had like a sit down talk with Piglet. Like it was a really long sit down talk. It was like an hour. It was like 2 hours, where I basically told Piglet like, I might coach this team, I might not. I heard about your bullshit, and I saw a lot of your bullshit yourself, and you keep putting the blame on other people. You need to start putting the blame on yourself. Like, you talk about, like, how good you are, like, world class. Koreans call it worldcle, like, short for world class. Like, Koreans have an obsession with that word. Like, whenever they get good at something, they're like, oh, I'm world class. But you call yourself world class, like, you call yourself all that, but you have shit to show. Like, your results are fucking nothing in North America. And a lot of that is because of your attitude and because of you. Like, people don't want to play with you and people don't want to act this way with you. And Piglet kept denying it. And there came, like, a breaking point. I mean, if you really feel that way, then I'm not going to coach this team. And Piglet started crying, and he actually admitted to a lot of his fault. And he really did change his attitude and change his mindset initially for it. And we made a lot of progress that way. Of course, it deteriorated whenever the Dardoch problems came later down the line, whenever there was problems with Matt, with Lorlo, with Phoenix. But for the initial, run we had, we started out, I think, 0-4 or 0-3. And then we won majority of our games to make sure we can get to that semis with CLG. Like, the run we had was really fucking insane. And I think a lot of it came from Piglet's mindset shift.
Yep.
Since you said he was a part of the impetus behind getting rid of Xpecial, was Xpecial actually washed at that time? Like, do you think he was actually done as a player?
Me personally?
Yeah. Or was Piglet being unreasonable? I mean, which side do you come down in? Because obviously he didn't have a great career after that, so I just wondered.
No, I mean he wasn't washed up. It was just like he would just make like really random unforced errors sometimes, you know, and that would trigger somebody who's like super mechanically good, such as Piglet or Phoenix. You know, like sometimes he would just miss like a flash anti-ult or something, and people would lose their mind when they saw that. Like it was just like misplays like that would just like lose a team fight, will just lose all the respect of some of your teammates. But I mean, I actually thought that Xpecial was pretty good. It's just like his mindset towards the game wasn't the same as like the Korean mindset. It was more of like an NA player mindset where you play scrims for like 10 hours, you do like 2-3 games of solo queue, you put in like 11 hours, and then, you know, maybe you go talk to your girlfriend. Like, he had a girlfriend at the time, but maybe you go talk to your girlfriend or play a different game or something like that, which was completely unacceptable for a Korean that wants to be at the top level. Like, their mindset is you play solo queue for all the time, like you eat and then you play solo queue for all the time that you're, you know, not in scrims, and then you sleep as little as you need to be functional, and then you do the same thing again.
And that's Piglet's mindset, and that works somewhat in Korea because Korean solo queue quality is so much higher. But if you try to do the same thing in NA, you're just gonna go insane. So
Yeah.
I mean, Piglet wanted to succeed in North America the way he succeeded in Korea, and it just wasn't gonna work that way.
You succeed in NA by being like friends. That's actually what it is. It's like, we like each other as teammates. I think we're gonna do better. Like, and then you just win through the power of friendship.
I mean, you succeed in North America because there's so many dysfunctions on all the teams. If your team is slightly functional, or if your team has a strong enough leader where they can be like, shut the fuck up, everyone, we're doing things this way, and everyone just buys into it, then you can win in North America.
I always used to tell people that because, like, the team that obviously was the most famous in the early days of the LCS for failing epically was CLG, obviously, because they used to have so many big names and all the fanboys of fucking Double Lift used to be like, you're the best player in the fucking world or whatever. Like, so obviously when they failed, it was more ridiculous, right? And everyone followed the drama in the team. But I always used to tell people, yeah, okay, their team's really bad for it, but you don't realize almost every single team, fuck NLCS, all LCS, even in Europe, you know, there was teams that were having like arguments all the time and fights and stuff. But the point is, the teams that do all that but then win in the game, that keeps you together enough, you know, you can sort of forget that you've got those big problems. It's the teams that do that and lose, they're the ones that are fucked.
I think that the best part about that from my perspective is that our team was so dysfunctional, and we were just such like random fucking players that would just match together, and then we would end up we were the team that kept on beating CLG. Like, that was the reason why everyone was so upset, is because CLG went to Korea, right? They took the last week off of LCS. They went to Korea for 3 weeks. They had this training with Monty, and then they came back. They got 3-0'd by us, and we were just like chilling. We didn't even scrim for the first week. Like, we couldn't even find scrims. Playing random shit, you know, like playing like Borderlands 2 and random fucking games that we win. It's like, oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Shit, no, there's something I have to ask. So David admitted that it was Fevin played a lot of Fortnite. What is it? Leading up to summer, and that's why Fevin deteriorated a lot. Was the person you tweeted that like was it playing Fortnite? Was it Fevin or was it someone else?
No, it was somebody else.
Okay,
it was somebody else. I just knew because like I saw the person.
It's probably fucking Steve. He was just like, how much do I have to pay to be Thanos all the time in the game? Like, well, Steve, it's a merit-based game. You have to play the game and get that. No, but I just want to have all the tools.
Like, yeah, I mean, I'm still not gonna like fucking out that player.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to check if it was Fevin because David already outed Fevin.
But I think the thing that was so fucking dumb was like Cloud9 did play a shitload of WoW, and then they like did well at Worlds, and people viewed that as that meant that the NA mindset was correct. They're like, look, Dom doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. They got to the semifinals and got 3-0 smashed by Fnatic. Our fucking practice is perfect. Like that's how people viewed it. Like, we were tweeting at me like, what do you think now, Dom? We made it to semifinals once, like when Korea was just fucking inting every single game at Worlds. I don't know how that suddenly proves that the better mentality towards playing League is to play League less and other games more. It's like, I understand the whole decompressing side of it, but there's better way. Like there's better ways to recover than just playing another game the entire time.
Also, if playing WoW is better and C9 got result in 1 year, then does it erase like the last 8 to 7 years of success that Korea has had? Because C9 did better than Korea 1 year. Like, the logic just isn't there.
It was pretty fucking weird. But I mean, I still believe what I said. Like, people think that I just like should change my mindset. Like, no, dude, the fucking other games are the future. Like, that's what teams are gonna do. It's like, I'm pretty sure Korea is just gonna do better than NA this year. I think it was like a fluke until NA starts consistently outperforming Korea, like MSI Worlds and all that shit. I don't believe that NA is a better region. Like, I see a team like Griffin play, and then I see TL, and TL looks like pretty good for NA. But then I watch Griffin play. I'm like, how the fuck would TL beat Griffin at Worlds? You know, like, that shit is not happening. Like, Griffin just looks on another level, and you can tell it. They grind the fucking game. Like, they are insane players.
Right, being as you transitioned your career to becoming a full-time streamer, right? To me, you stand out as one of the examples of someone where every time there's drama around you as a streamer and it's league related, like you're in a league game, you're getting angry at someone on your team in the league game, isn't that the downside of streaming that people don't see when they stop being a pro? Like, they see the upside of like, hey, I've got no more competitive stress, you know, the results don't matter as much. Hey, I'll get paid all this money. But also they think to themselves, it's going to be fun. Doesn't it also wear on you when you've like grinded a lot of league for years on your stream?
It just depends on how much you actually care about winning the game. Like, that's really what it comes down to. I think that if you don't care that much, it won't affect you as much. But also just in general, one thing that I learned is showing the whole situation will actually benefit you so much. Like, if before, when I first had those Reddit hate threads, I'm like, this person said all this bullshit to me, and then I respond, and then suddenly I'm the bad guy. Well, it goes from two people having a fucking argument to like, it's just like, oh, dude, a streamer should never say that because you're a role model. It's like, what the fuck? Number one, why the fuck am I a role model? I dropped out of college when I was like 21 and played video games for the last 8 years of my life. I'm a fucking role model now. And then if somebody else calls me a fucking like retard, like all this shit, and then I respond by like saying like one line, like as a retort, how does that somehow constitute like that I'm completely wrong in the argument, or that like I'm the fucking shit person? Where it's like, I don't know, I feel like if I was on the other side and I instigated somebody and like called them fucking retarded and like, you know, all these words I can't say on stream, if I said all that, I would suddenly be the fucking, it would be like, oh my god, Dom's fucking homophobic and like hates black people. Like, it's like, wait, what the fuck? How is it I'm always the bad guy in this situation? I don't know.
I will say that I know a lot of streamers, that's one area that they hate fucking Twitch clips for, because the whole point of a Twitch clip is obviously to catch gameplay footage. Like, you know, hey, look at this sick outplay I made. But people always use the Twitch clip to catch like the clip of some edgy comment. And like you're saying, it can't possibly in like fucking 30 seconds contain all of the conversation. So obviously the worst scenario is the thing that gets out there first, as you're saying, it's like you in the middle of a conversation or your reply. And then it doesn't matter at that point in time if eventually all the clips come out and people see it all. Like some people never see all the clips, you know, some people just see the one way they think you're toxic. Right?
The best thing,
the thing
go ahead. Tom.
Well, the thing that I've kind of realized over time, at first I would be really mad at the Redditors for being like fucking stupid and like not looking into the context of something, because whenever something happens that I see on Twitch, right, I always go back in the VOD and then see what the context leading up to it is. But no one on Twitch is going to do that because they have faith in the system, and the Reddit mods are just a bunch of fucking idiots. Like, they're all just a bunch of fucking idiots, and they don't uphold the own rules that they have. So like one of the main two rules, like the second rule of our LOL, is that all clips need to be presented in an unbiased way and contain the full context of what happens. Like, that is the nature of Reddit. So you're supposed to be able to show both sides and then let the Redditors decide unbiasedly on what happened. But that never fucking happens. Like, they don't go back, like the mods don't go back in the clips and do like a little bit of research and be like, okay, you can show like Dom leaving the game, but you also have to show like this Ezreal taking his blue buff level 1 when he's playing Shaco jungle and then running it down and then like giving them fucking crap and just troll. Like, you have to show the whole situation that leads up to like, that gives context for why did Dodd suddenly leave this game? Like, I don't normally leave games. Why would I suddenly leave a game? You know, all of that fucking matters. And that's one thing that I went over. I made a Cut the Western shit where I just shit on the Reddit mods for 13 minutes because it's so ridiculous that they will randomly pick and choose which posts they want to remove based on the rule set, and that rule set will not be applied to every single post. So it's just like, oh, you know what, this doesn't fucking have any context, or this is not relevant to the number one that they abuse is the relevancy rule. They're like, this is not relevant to our League of Legends. But then you have fucking posts like Kaisa is hot. That is actually a fucking Reddit post where they're like, Kaisa's hot, and then everyone's talking about like, yeah, she is. Like, that hits number one, and that's somehow more relevant than fucking Kobe reacting to like C9 finally making it out of Worlds quarterfinals and beating Korea for the first time in 8 years. How the fuck is Kaisa's hot more relevant than that bullshit? It is so far gone. And I mean, obviously they're like trying to change the mods because they know that they're all bullshit. But at the end of the day, it's like, as a group, those people are doing a failure of a job at moderating the Reddit, and because of that, you have these like random biases that come through. Also, like the whole thing about personal attacks. What the fuck? Anytime there's any hate thread, there's just it's just filled with fucking personal attacks. That's literally all it is.
By the way, those are also two other parts of those rules, which, like, if anyone wonders, right, if you're just a fan, why people get mad at the Reddit mods, it's because, like, I'll give you an example. This is one of the reasons that led to eventually why Richard Lewis got banned from Reddit. What initially started it was that when people used to talk shit about him on Reddit, because the Reddit mods never removed those comments. Like, people could put a comment like, you aren't even a journalist, you know, you're a racist piece of shit, and like, you know, I'll downvote all your content forever. And these mods weren't deleting the fucking posts. And one of the rules does say you cannot do personal attacks. You can report a post for that. So in theory, their job was to remove the post, right? So Richard's logic was, well, if you don't remove the post, well, if this guy's allowed to say that about me, I'm allowed to respond. You know, I'm allowed to say, well, you're wrong, you know, I've done X, Y, and Z. And the whole point is they always just use whichever side's comfortable. Like, they'll say, for example, another famous rule is you're not allowed to do a thread that's witch hunting. 99% of the threads we're talking about in this case, where it's like a clip where it looks really bad on solo queue, all it's going to be is a witch hunt. Because you're just presenting one dodgy little part of the evidence, and then everyone's going to respond.
Yeah, they removed that rule recently because they just couldn't moderate it, and they kind of like the witch hunts. I think that the witch hunts drive more traffic, and I don't know. It's
well, my old theory as well, right? I know it's a similar one that Richard shares. Is that the other thing that the mods do is they're kind of like the crooked jail guy in prison, you know. The idea is, yeah, he doesn't let everyone murder each other, etc. But if he doesn't like you and the right person pays him, he just looks the other way, you know, so that you get fucked over. So it's like if the mods don't like you, I'm gonna accidentally let this thread get through. Meanwhile, if that same thread was like fucking Bjergsen or something, that's getting deleted 100%. You know, whoever like the guy they like is basically.
I mean, one of the oh, you can go ahead. Loco.
Well, it's power goes.
I can.
It would have been funnier if you just let him go.
Yeah, I should have
just been nodding.
Okay, so
yeah,
power corrupts people, right? And then especially for like Reddit mods, they're just like internet users that are fan of League of Legends that like volunteer, right? The fact that they get to have power over Dom, the fact that they get to have power over Richard Lewis or any like popular figure in the industry, that they get to directly choose if their content gets viewership or if gets exposure or not, must go straight to their head. These are like literally volunteers, maybe college kids, maybe like just people with normal jobs that are like, I get to fuck with people in the League of Legends industry and I get to set the rules on whether their content can succeed or not. It must go straight to their heads.
Well, I mean,
it does.
That was something that I shit on them again for, because they use that as a way to justify their shitty job, like the way that they moderated. They're like, well, don't, like, come on guys, I'm a fucking volunteer. Like, well, I don't give a fuck if you're a volunteer. You're a shit volunteer. You're doing a shitty job. Like, and just because you're a volunteer doesn't mean it doesn't affect me, like, and my brand. I'm not like I have to fucking deal with when I see these posts that are completely misconstrued. Like, people don't fucking care about what the content is. They'll literally just read the post and then they'll just be like, fucking Dom is so insecure, how could he respond to somebody like that? And they'll just spout like the same fucking bullshit, and then they'll link all the other Reddit threads that I've had, and they'll just come to my stream and just fucking shit talk me and whatever. And since I don't really ban people for that type of stuff, they're just like, I have to deal with the results, where if they just did a better job, then people would probably like view me in a more positive light. I mean, obviously the other argument is that if I just didn't do anything, but I'm not going to stop. To me, I don't think that when I go back at everything that I've said, when I see people just completely shit talk me, I played games for fucking, 20 years online, and it's always been a thing that shit talking was part of gaming. If somebody shit talks you and then you shit talk them back, that was considered normal, and you just go into the next game and no one really gives a fuck. Like, most of the people that I've had problems with, that I've had these like Reddit clips on, I play with them after that, and like they didn't give a fuck. It was like, oh yeah, like that was like, yeah, we fucking hated each other back then, but it's cool now. That's how we view it. But these fucking Reddit users, they linger on this shit for the rest of their lives. Like, no, this guy's fucking evil,
I will say, by the way, since you said that, Loco, because you are right, by the way, it's not even just like a conspiracy theory that like these mods, basically power gets to their head and they get out of control. Basically, you might not know this, but Reddit themselves actually are fine with that behavior, by the way. Like, as Dom's saying here, if you ever try and contact, like, here's the thing people need to know about Reddit. I know on other websites, admin and mod might sound like the same thing, but on Reddit, mod is just the guy who volunteers and he just moderates like r/League of Legends. Admin is like an actual like Reddit employee that works like, for the entire company, is in theory above everyone else. So if you ever have problems with the mods, the people you contact is the admins, right? And this has happened to many people. If you contact those admins and tell them basically like this guy. So I had an example happen that's actually one, by the way, that's not even debatable. A Reddit mod on r/League of Legends described a post I'd done as being hate speech, right? And by the way, this wasn't even an edgy post in any context. It was actually a thing about like the industry, I think. Right? Here's the reason why that's actually a very serious statement, because the whole point is hate speech isn't just horrible things to say. It's actually a crime. Like in the UK, you can go to prison for hate speech. So that guy essentially publicly accused me of a crime. So I contacted the admins and I just said, listen, I'm not debating what he does in mod or whatever, but I said, you have to punish this person. You can't just have a mod literally doing that, like just going and using his position to accuse people of crimes and all sorts of nonsense. And what they basically told me was like a really like generic way to fuck off. Basically, they just said like, oh, well, we apologize if you've had a negative experience with our moderators in r/League of Legends, but we're afraid that due to the fact that they are volunteers, we give them a lot of leeway in how they moderate that subreddit. So what they basically were saying was, because we don't pay these guys, just let them do whatever the fuck they want. That's like they run the prison basically.
Why not pay them? Our League of Legends is fucking
Well, there's a
huge.
reason for that, unfortunately, Loco, which is like, I don't know if you know this, but Reddit is a perfect example of one of those sites that was like bought for millions and millions and makes fuck all money. Like, think about advertising on Reddit. You almost never see it.
They have one box on whenever you go on it, no?
It's famous they're a company that loses money, basically. So they're not a company that's in a good spot. The other part is, I will say this as well, on the angle of the fact that they get to sort of toy with users, that's definitely the case. Like, I'll give you a great example, because it's very famous. I've never been banned by Reddit mods. Like, I've never had any issues with them. Partly because I'm very cynical, and I know, just don't engage with them on these topics. You'll just get mad and get upset with them, right? So I've never messaged those mods and told them, like, fuck off, or you're doing a bad job, or whatever. But one time, out of nowhere, remember, like I said, I've never had a negative relationship. Out of nowhere, I once just got like a DM on Reddit, and it was from a Reddit mod in r/League of Legends, and it just said something like, "Oh, I was thinking of reaching out to, content creators and finding out, like, do you have any like thoughts on how we're currently moderating things, like things we should add, things we should remove?" And so I actually thought, oh, fair enough. Seems like it actually seems like a pretty cool initiative. So I replied to the guy and I just said something like, yeah, sure. Just give me like a few days and I'll make like a top 5 list or something and send it over to you. Mm-hmm. And this guy literally instantly wigged out and was saying some mad shit like, oh, you think that this is just something where I'm just going to wait around for you? Like something meant like that. And I was like, I just said something like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I won't go and do that then. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, who is this guy? Like, he actually literally, Loco, wanted to behave as though I was, like, privileged to be talking to him. By the way, if I told you this guy's alias now, no one in this chat would know it. It's a fucking nobody. He actually thought that, like, I should sort of be like, oh, thank you very much, Reddit mod, that I can talk to you and give you some ideas and maybe you'll take it in. Or it's like, get the fuck out of my face. Damn, like, I'm not going to go, like, fully like Richard and just flame you online publicly, but I tear that ass up in private, mate. Don't ever message me some shit like that. I basically just told that guy, like, don't ever message me again, mate. Like, it's not going to go out. It's not going to go well for you.
I didn't know Leviathan was a Reddit mod.
Not bad. You saved that one. Not bad. You dropped that in at the end there. I see how you did it. So here's the thing. Bearing in mind he won't come on the show. Fair play. He's a target now. He shouldn't have done that. One mistake he ever made with Leviathan is you don't say you'll come on a show and then renege it. If you didn't say it, then we couldn't really do that. It's 2 p.m.
I'll tell the story behind what happened. So Leviathan agreed to come on the show, and then he DM'd me, hey, we're only going to talk about game topics, right? No drama, nothing of that sort. And I was like, we'll definitely have
this guy for real.
I said, wait, what the fuck? We'll definitely have to bring it up. And then he's like, I'm going to have to talk to my PR team. They're not going to be okay with that. And I said, okay, send me the email to your PR team. I'll talk to them and then I'll give them a topic list. Apparently, I don't think he had a PR team because he just blocked me. And then that was the end of it.
Loco, I don't know if this is a surprise to you, mate, but there obviously was never a PR team, was it? It was a joke. He's obviously being like sarcastic, isn't he? What he meant was, no, I need the show to be like what I said. And when you were like, okay, sure, shoot me that email to the PR team. It's like, that's like him saying, hey, Loco, you're like the guy who on the first day as a plumber, they send out, at lunchtime, like, hey, we need to go get a left-handed wrench. And then you're just going around all the shops. Can I have a left-handed wrench, though? And then they're all like, yeah, sure, go to the one down the road. Like, you're that guy, Loco. Like,
you read it wrong. I think he was like, oh, shit, he probably viewed it as, if I have to talk to a PR team, then I'll just... What if it go by whatever you want to do, Leviathan? Right. I don't want to talk to your PR team. We'll just make it about the gameplay. I'm like, sure, let me fucking talk to your PR team. I talk to fucking Riot PR team all the time to bring on Riot guests. Like, you don't think I'm afraid to talk to your PR team? Unemployed Leviathan? Like, of course you don't have a fucking PR team. Like,
just drops that in there, unemployed Leviathan. Anyway, he's not coming on the show. We get it.
Loco's fucking toxic. What happened?
He is I watched too much Dom stream. Now I say stuff like Pepega.
Yeah. I mean, it just like you can't call people retards anymore, so I just call them Pegas. Like it's just a workaround.
No, that is what you do. You just invent new words for it, don't you?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Oh, speaking of other streamer stuff, so we were talking about it a little bit before on the show, where when we had Hashinshin on the episode, Hashinshin's infamously one of those people that Dom shit talk, and then they become friends somehow. But Hashinshin said he doesn't like LS because he feels like when LS roasts and flames him, he thinks it's been done for viewership. But he's okay with Dom roasting and flaming him because it's genuine flame, like full of hate and full of negativity, not for viewership. So, Dom, what's your relationship with Hashinshin?
No, I actually have I talk to Shinshin like on Discord and stuff. It's so funny because we'll literally just flame the shit out of each other, and then we'll just like talk normally afterwards. We'll be like, oh yeah, so like what emotes do you have coming out? Okay, well that's a good idea. Maybe I should get on the Weeb Emote game. We'll just have a completely normal conversation. But yeah, I mean, I will never agree with the Shinshin about League of Legends. It is just not possible. We have completely different views of how the game should be played and like what the jungler's role is, all that shit. So. Yeah, it's just we can never get along in that circumstance.
All right, Dorian, do you want to move on to LCS? Where do you want to take the show?
Well, here's the thing: we can't just go all over the place. So, like Dom, presumably LCS is what you watch more than LEC, right?
I watch both. I'd probably say I've watched maybe more LEC than LCS. Like I think I've watched almost every single game of both though. So.
Wow.
Okay. What do you actually think? Like, how would you contrast the two then? Because obviously a lot of people only watch one or the other. Like, does LEC? How does it compare to LCS at the moment? Do you think?
I mean, it just seems way better. I don't know what to say. I mean, just as a whole, it seems like their plays are way more thought out and like practical, and it feels like LCS is kind of random right now. Like plays just kind of happen. Like people just solo kill each other, and then, for example, you remember the TSM game where TSM just had like the 5-1 kill lead on clutch. They're just shitting on a broken blades like 3 solo kills up. It feels like in LEC that game would just be over. You know, it's just like, okay, one of our best teams, if you have like Schalke or you have G2 or Misfits, they get that type of lead in the early game, like one of the top 3 LEC teams, it's over. It's next game. Like our top laner shit on yours, we're gonna just use the pressure throughout the map. We're gonna just like win the game off this. But in LCS, it just feels sketchy. It's like, I don't know, man. Can they actually win this? Like, they don't scale that well. They're actually going to need to make play. Oh, never mind. They lost. Like, that's just how I feel about it. So it just seems like LEC is just so much, I don't know, so much higher level right now.
So David was talking to us about LEC macro and LCS macro, and he's like, the whole LEC diss on North America is NA doesn't have macro. They just NA ARAM. And when you brought up the TSM game, that's exactly what they did. They should have had Broken Blade in the side lane, but they literally A-ran 5 people mid and they lost off of that. So there is tiny bit of truth into that.
You have to realize, like, this is a famous, what would you call it? Like, I guess pet peeve that Kelsey had on Narrative Wick, that was like a famous thing associated with her personality, is that she used to basically just complain that every Western team didn't like properly side lane enough. And what people never understood was she wasn't doing it like, as in that's the only way she thinks you can play the game. It's just, it is so famous. Like, I think NA particularly, it is amazing how rarely NA teams ever properly actually split push in games. We're talking about the entire history of League. Like the amount of years of League I've watched where it's like, I'll give just a random example. Let's say TSM had the best team fight in the league. Teams would just let them team fight over and over again. I never understood it. It was such a weird, like, obviously they're just in the same paradigm. They think that's how you have to play the game or something.
I mean, it's because split pushing is like more complex than people give. It's not like you just send your fucking top lane or bot lane and it's like, all right, dude, kill the turret. Like one thing that Loco would always tell like Lorlo about was just he would give him like the options, like, okay, you push the wave and then you disappear, and then like maybe the first time you go ward or you threaten to roam mid, and the next wave you push it again, and then like maybe if you're strong enough, then you can start getting like shots on the turret, and like, you know, if you're playing Fiora or something, you lifesteal off the wave, get shots to the turret, push the wave, disappear, ward for yourself. Like you're constantly like doing this pattern of pushing the wave and then trying to like do a different thing, and eventually like something opens up, which is why like certain players in our solo queue just end up getting so high. Like TF Blade does this extremely well, which is why I think that he's always rank 1, because he knows
really good flanker. Yeah,
he understands like how to flank. He understands when he needs to TP, when he needs to just like split push and try to fucking take the turret. In NA, it doesn't feel like anyone's actually comfortable doing that. It feels like people just get confused. Like they'll be like, okay, I pushed in the wave, what do I do now? And then they just freeze up, and then they get into this mentality where they're just essentially pushing the wave and then waiting for the next wave, and then pushing the wave and waiting for the next wave, and they're never actually getting anything done with the split push. That's like, if they're not strong enough to walk up and kill the turret, split push is done, you know? But LEC teams are so much more willing to like flank TP or just like start and engage and just abuse the fact that they have somebody who's stronger.
What do you think, Loco?
I 100% agree. Like, there's only been one team that's been able to historically do this, and it's been CLG, where you talk about CLG. You talk about CLG 1-3-1 a lot, like Darshan, Hui, and side lanes. Like, they were really good with 1-3-1 split pushing and flanking and stuff. And it was like a specialty of CLG where it should have been just like a normal part of the game that every team is able to do, but it was a CLG special. Like, oh, they can 1-3-1 and stuff. Korea was doing that shit all like fucking long time ago. And like, as Dom said, like, I try to teach Lorlo that, and it's something that Lorlo never really quite understood. And he's like, well, why can't we have jungler come and just kill the other guy? Like, anytime I presented him with an option of, hey, when you have an advantage, you can do this or this or this, it always came down to, I just want to kill this person. What's the best way to kill this person? And
that's so bizarre. You would think he would understand the concept of just map pressure alone, right?
Well, I mean, Lorlo did learn a lot of it, and he is better about it. But the thing about NA people is, I think it has to do with like culture itself and like NA, because I had schooling from both. In Korea, you get shamed if you're bad. Like, what Koreans do is, after you take a test, it's fucking posted on the wall. All fucking 30 students, all their grades are posted on the wall, and that's how you go check your grade. You go check the wall, and then you go down the list, and you're like, okay, I'm like 3rd. Okay, this idiot fucking 30th, and then you'll tease the idiots that are like fucking failing. In North America, it's like no child gets left behind. Like, you know, we're not gonna ask a monkey and a fish to both climb a tree. If you do that, then of course the fish is gonna fall behind. Like, that's not fair. No child gets left behind. Everyone's
I got so scared when he used the example of monkey first there, but you saved it. It was a legit example.
No.
Keep going. I was like ready, like we should synchronize. Just get out of this call now.
I had my command bro just like in the chat ready to go, and I dropped it. I deleted it at the end.
Everyone's good at something. You just have to figure out what you're good at. You're the best. Don't you ever forget that. Mommy loves you. And then people go with that mindset, they go play solo queue, and they're like, I'm the best. I'm fucking doing it. Like, this coach that's trying to tell me to play differently and play like this Korean way, like, they're trying to take away what's me. Like, individualism, like being myself and doing what I love. That's what League of Legends is all about. Being a one-trick pony. If I can only play Kayn, it's okay. I don't need to play all these junglers. Like, Koreans, they don't know how to have fun. Who wants to play 14 hours a day? That's still life. That's still League of Legends. I don't want to be that way. That's the NA mindset.
I mean, NA is like, it's not okay to like call somebody superior to somebody else in NA. But in Korea, it's just like, this person is fucking better than you. Like, learn from him. Like, that's just how it's like, okay, all right, I respect that, I guess. It's just too harsh for our poor NA brains. Hey, I think we could out-care them, you know? Maybe not outplay, but we can out-care them.
Okay.
Loco, you can't talk to players that way. Don't fucking openly talk about their flaws. How are they gonna improve? It hurts their feelings. I guess I'm a toxic coach.
I mean, I will say, the thing I just always enjoyed about all local coaching stories is if you noticed how many of these fucking stories are him just like, and then I tried to explain to the guy, like, you're too arrogant. You're just thinking of yourself, and you're like, just do what you think's best and not what's good for the. It's like, he doesn't realize, like, his like hell was to just be trapped in a world where he has to deal with younger versions of himself over and over again, and he's like, but why can't I get through to them? And it's like, even because it's you couldn't get through to yourself.
No. Fucking even younger versions of myself understood the game very well. Like, I fucking understood Snowball before anyone in Korea. I got fucking made fun of because I talked about Snowball as a concept. Hey, if I'm winning the lane, we can take the small lead I have and turn it into something bigger. Loco, you're so greedy. Why do you want to play for yourself? We should help the losing lanes. No, don't play towards losing lanes. Play towards winning lanes. The very fucking first OGN finals, I got made fun of because I wanted to play and talk about Snowball. Ugh, fuck you, Thornton. Like, younger version of me at least understood the game really well. The younger versions of other people that I had to coach, they didn't understand the game and they thought they knew better. That was the problem. I actually did know better than my coaches.
I'm
just going to say Piglet was a world champion, mate. I'm just going to throw that out there. Just going to throw that out there, homie. He was a world champion.
Piglet was a world champion, but the game evolved, and then he had to pick up and learn different skills, and he didn't. Like, but
I imagine he was doing the same thing, wasn't he? He was like, Locodoco. What, you mean that guy who was some reamed out coach on fucking on TSM while I was winning OGN? Some shit he used to do years ago, and then I won worlds as well. And now he's telling me, like,
that's not how I coach, though. I don't
play with the team. TSM? Like, you know,
I don't
no
coach by
problem
saying,
about-
oh look, I coach TSM, I coach TL. That's not how I fucking coach. I tell them, I fucking prepare docs and I tell them, hey, this is how this something works. This is how this something works. I put fucking videos up, hey, this is a situation where one team did this,
See, that's so
and it's how it's better.
Like, he used to literally coach his players by preparing doxes of them and saying, like, I'll reveal everything, like where you went to school, like your fucking mom's social security ID, and they were like, that's really inappropriate. You can't do that to players, Loco.
I mean, one thing I will say about playing from Loco is I felt like it was hard to like. If I had a different viewpoint than Loco, it felt so hard to get it like across. Like if it was like I want to play
that.
like. I want to play like this time. Like I remember we had like a famous argument about
2v1s.
Nidalee.
Yeah, Nidalee 2v1s, I think.
Yeah, it was Nidalee 2v1s. We had a famous argument about Nidalee 2v1s because I thought that Nidalee was a champion that was useless without farm, and he was really set on like the Korean like vision style of like he wanted low econ Nidalee, and I'm like, why am I ever gonna fucking play Nidalee if it's low econ? We could just never agree on it, you know? Like,
So I'll even fucking say, so I more so than low econ, it was more of high tempo Nidalee. And Josh actually pulled that off. So we did get Nidalee, and Josh played the Nidalee the way I wanted, and we fucking 3-buffed Dignitas, and we never got access to Nidalee again. But
yeah, and then you guys got it one more time. I think like later on you guys got stomped, but it was literally like I wanted to like, you know, I was like, okay, Nidalee's like a full clear champion, and Loco was like, no, you're like he wanted to do like the Santorian like buy Sightstone Nidalee.
No,
shit.
I did not want to do Centurion by Sightstone Nidalee. We don't have to go into this.
It's a fact that low key, no joke. This is not even exaggeration. Low key, Sam Torin is actually like secretly Loco's favorite player he ever coached because he thinks this guy's fucking perfect. It's unbelievable.
What? I don't think Centurion's perfect. I think there was definitely flaws about Centurion when I coached on TSM. Hard to work with, really opinionated. But Centurion does have good mechanics, and the way Centurion understands the game and can talk to you about the game is really fucking intelligent. Like, Centurion's someone that's really fucking intelligent, and he can explain decisions. And any coach that worked with Centurion will tell you, like, he's one of the smartest players they've ever worked with.
I always had a different opinion on Centurion. Like, I always thought Centurion was fucking insane. Like, right now, I think he's one of the best junglers in the league. You know, straight up.
Loco's bias towards Centurion, 9.5
but people actually think he sucks for some reason. Like, I think that he is the biggest divide between what people's opinions of him are and like what his actual skill is.
It's because Centurion doesn't fucking shit talk. Centurion just quietly plays and does his role. When Centurion's teammates fuck up, they blame other stuff, but Centurion just fucking takes the blame, and he's there and he's like, okay, and he's not like argumentative. He doesn't have a high fee stream. He's not a KDA player, so he doesn't have insane KDA stats. He does all the things you're properly supposed to do, and he's a good teammate. So there's nothing flashy about him, but he's just a good player. He's like Xmithy. That's why Xmithy is not super popular. Like the best jungles, like Xmithy, Centurion, like they don't get enough credit. Xmithy didn't get any kind of credit until he was on TL winning shit. Even when he was on CLG winning shit, like people gave all the credit. No, CLG, Xmithy.
Oh, Xmithy you talking about.
When Xmithy was on CLG winning shit, he didn't get any of the credit. All the credit went to Afro, and all the credit went to Double because they're the high fee players. Like it even went to Pobelter before Xmithy.
I always felt like that was one thing I learned about like how people remember you is like when I played in season 5, like everyone, like the whole conversation was like, who's the best jungler, Dom or Rush? That was literally like every single Reddit thread would be about that, you know? And at the end, like Rush got MVP, and then I got like all second team. But like if you don't talk shit, like if you don't go on like social media like I'm the best fucking jungler in NA, fuck all these other junglers. You see this guy, you see Xmithy, fuck that guy, I'm better than him. Like if you don't do that shit, people don't give a fuck. People don't remember anything. They're like, yeah, I mean, I remember him playing. I mean, I think he was like decent. I don't know, maybe he was like the 7th best jungler in the league. I'm like, what? Like people actually have that big of a fucking difference between what you're actually like. Santorin was one of like the better junglers in the league in season 5, but everyone's just like, yeah, he fucking sucked. Like fuck, like he's the reason why TSM failed. Like he never ganked Darius's lane. And I was like, I mean, he didn't have the best summer, but he was still like fucking good for most of it.
Dude, if you've done negative stuff, it wipes out all the fucking positive stuff you've ever done. And even when that negative stuff gets revisited and people admit, like all the fucking people we talked to about Breaking Point, it was unfair, it was pointed this way. Loco actually did a lot of good stuff that wasn't shown. Like fucking Dardock coming back and apologizing. Yeah, I was actually a fucking child. Like I was impossible to work with. Like what is it, me and Loco made up? Like Dardock still fucking hates you, Locodoco. Like, oh my fucking god. Anything like negative you've ever done in your life, you cannot erase.
Yeah. That's the world, man.
It's it. TL still fucking hates you, Locodoco. Damien fucking comes on the show. Oh, Loco and TL had a project that was coming up, and then that we decided not to do. TL still fucking hates you, Loco. Like, oh.
Sorry, as long as it doesn't bother you personally, then everything's okay, Loco.
I-
As long as it doesn't get to you, mate. That's all that matters.
A lot of times it does not bother me, and I can sleep with it. It's just so fucking annoying sometimes. It just there's points like there's just so points like when I'm tilted, when I'm mad, and someone brings up like something that's not even my fault. That's what pisses me off when people bring up problems on TSM. A lot of it is Bjergsen's fault, a lot of it is Andy's fault, but I'll take majority of blame for that one. So whenever someone shit talks me for TSM, like at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what, I wasn't that great. And for the TL stuff, go fuck yourself. Like, oh my fucking god,
I mean, it's like honestly, Loco. I mean, I think you can just calm down. I think it's okay that you ruined a couple teams. You know.
Yeah.
Like, I guess content creation's going all right for you, so it all worked out.
The thing is, here's the thing, Loco. You, no matter what team we're talking about, you were a very, very important part of their success now because, you know, like I always say this about relationships that you have romantically in life, is that you should never look back and regret even bad relationships because what they showed you actually is what you don't want in a person. Like you don't want someone who's controlling or, you know, not serious enough. What you did is you showed all of these orgs exactly what they did need in a coach. They just basically used process of elimination. They were like, everything that you are, we don't want.
Sure, I mean, TSM after me, who did they get? Oh, they had Youngbuck. They had huge success with Youngbuck. Or not Youngbuck.
No, Casey Woodbuck.
Casey Woodbuck. They had huge success with Woodbuck, right? Like
they wish they had Youngbuck.
So,
yeah.
After me,
went off, by the way, Dom.
After me with TSM, they fucking plummeted and then they started climbing up again. Oh, after me with TL, oh, they had huge success, right? Oh no, they went to fucking double relegation twice. And Golden Guardians, they were 10th twice, but I didn't have success with them.
I mean,
it's not like I played big parts in those orgs, and when I was gone, there was a hole that needed to be filled, and they couldn't fill properly, and they took a huge fucking dive. Not a common pattern with the orgs that I've been on, right? Not a common pattern that actually fucking happened.
Yeah, it's so tricky. It was obviously a joke when it was so blatantly a joke, but it's tricky. Also, I will just say, don't you ever dare try and get out on the TL one like that. Like, and then they hired someone else, the guy who was like my best fucking pal I just had on the show and still pretends to coach, and then they hired this other fucking idiot, my best friend, and then he failed, so that's my fault now?
What? That I was a fucking good coach, that I ran a good system, that I was given fucking nothing on TL, and I took them to game 5 versus fucking CLG, and when I left, they went double relegation, and they were unrelegated without fucking double F fucking carrying their ass, and I would have personally relegated them. Sure, that's not my fault, Dorian. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you.
You know how satisfying it is when like a team that you leave like does worse without you.
Of course, yeah.
I love that shit. Like, I love like. Man, Loco, I loved watching TL just fall apart in season 6. Like,
me too.
Well, you were the coach. I don't know if you're supposed to love it. From my perspective, I'm like, all right, let's see how it fucking goes. Let's see how this shit goes. And then for me, it wasn't even like the performance. I just love seeing the team implode because I knew what it was like to fucking
It's not me. It's not me. It's them. It's them.
I knew what it was like to fucking jungle for that team. And then I'm like, let's see what happens with Darna. And Darna just lost his fucking mind. He just went off the fucking rails. He's like, no, I'm fucking not playing on this fucking team with this motherfucker. So I'm like, all right, dude. That's how I felt, but I suppressed that shit, all right? You know? I took that anger into streaming. I let that out on some randoms in solo queue instead.
My favorite is still like, because obviously in actual Breaking Point itself, obviously the main people going nuts are Dardoch, Piglet, but the one people forget is when Phoenix just gets mad triggered that time and he goes like, I can't fucking cut it, you people. It's like, it just gets so triggered, it's unreal. Like you would actually think in that moment he'd like forget how to speak English. He gets the toxicity out pure as fuck.
No, like the thing that I love so much is when he's like, when they got like fucking Jinth, some random motherfucker named Jinth. I'm like, who the fuck is Jinth? And he just randomly shows up on the team, and during that rant, Phoenix like fucking random guy, like he just didn't know fucking his name, and he's like fucking gauntlet with that guy.
My favorite point about Breaking Point is one thing that I'm told is you can't talk to Josh this way, and you can't treat Josh this way. He's the future of our team. Like next 5 years of TL is gonna be with Josh. And the Breaking Point Josh gets sold to Immortals, and TL also comes to the same conclusion. Yeah, fucking Josh. We can't work with Josh at the moment. Like. So you fucking forced me. You forced me to work with Josh for a year, and you tell me you can't treat this person this way. He's the future of our team. What is it? We're gonna build under him.
Here's the thing though, Loco. Technically, as you pointed out, your original job at Team Liquid was content creator. You know what? You killed that job, mate. You made some really fucking sick content at Breaking Point's Dynamite. Like, you know, you killed that part. You know.
Sure. Oh man, do you want to talk LCS now and some of the teams?
Yeah, sure.
All right, see, I've got a question for you, actually. I want to put something to you. So on the show that I just launched, that's a European focus show. It's only about LEC and maybe national leagues if some of them are interested enough in future episodes. We were talking about the Misfits team in the LEC at the moment, which on paper is like a super team. People are raving about all these different names, you know. And one of the biggest names they got, obviously, is someone who you've alluded to on past episodes, Loco, in Gorilla, because you said that you helped broker the deal, etc. Right? When I had to do that show where Veteran is the guy who's like the guy giving me all the insight and stuff, he actually does it. I don't remember his exact opinion, so I'll give you the gist of it. But basically, he actually wasn't that big a fan of the Misfits team, and as much as he thought that like they play too slow as a team, and that even though they've got all these really good names, that they will like be overtaken. And one thing that he was very critical of, I mean, I think he actually said this on an episode that we did ourselves, where, you know, he said he'd done that thing where he'd like charted all the times.
Gorilla
that,
engages,
yeah, Gorilla and Prey did engages, and he said that basically on that team it was Prey that did all the successful engages, and Gorilla was actually pretty bad at it.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the concerns I think he had for like why they would be like a really slow team. Do you have any thoughts on that? I thought I'd put it to you just to see.
Gorilla played, I think, All-Star majority of his games, and other than their one loss to Vitality, like his All-Star was more than good. And Gorilla's known for being a good All-Star player, so I think Veteran's just full of shit for saying Gorilla can't engage.
Yeah, I think Gorilla's a fucking monster. I think one thing that is so funny is how good Koreans look when they go into European teams versus how shit they look when they come to an NA team. Like, you look at somebody like Bang and you're like, this guy is insane, right? Like, this guy was fucking multi-world like champion, all this shit. Then he comes to fucking 100 Thieves. Dude, if you fucking change that nameplate and you put a random motherfucker from like High Yellow Solo Queue in there, I would
Keith McBrief. Just put Keith in instead.
Put Keith in there, the game looks exactly the fucking same. Like, they have no idea how to play around players that are fucking good compared to like Misfits, where they're like, oh, Gorilla's a beast? Okay, I'm fucking ganking bot level 4 every game, and they just get random fucking kills. Like,
It's cause there's two things that are really big. In North America, I guess it's one really big concept. It's tempo and the speed of the game. North American players like playing the game a lot slower, and they don't do enough things with priority and playing high tempo. So like a huge problem that I had when I brought Fly over from Korea is the way he understood the game and the way he wanted to play the game is, I thought, more correct than the rest of our team, but he had to kind of slow down his game and play a little bit less reliant on the small leads he gets and trying to turn it into something bigger, and just being a good team fighter, just being a good laner, like things that succeed in NA. And that's why players struggle when they come to NA, because NA games are so fucking slow and so reliant on team fight, and it's not reliant on like pressure or tempo or side lane advantages. So yeah, like a lot of the good Korean players that come over to NA have to either shift their game completely or they fail.
Okay. Right, more generally, Dom, what do you think of the Misfits team?
I don't know, man. There's some games that I feel like they should have lost. I feel like they're a team that might get stuck throughout the split. Like, they definitely have like solid players every position, but I feel like there's a chance that they just have the same split that they did last time, where they start off like 10-0, like solo, or like whatever, like they start off like 10-2 or whatever in the regular season, and they get towards the end, and I don't know if they actually have it in them to just like win playoff series at the end. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm just not like willing to count out teams like Fnatic, is I just feel like they're able to like get it together. Like, everyone's telling me Fnatic's gonna be like the worst team in the league, you know, because they start. I just don't see it. You know, I feel like they'll get their shit together and they'll eventually be able to like outperform other teams in close, tense situations because they have the experience to do it. And I feel like Misfits might like choke it away.
One thing that was concerning to me was Febibin on Galio, and Febibin, so I felt like he had no idea what to do on Galio, and he wasn't using ult proactively, and he was just playing to farm a lot, where there was a point in the game where he kept going top lane after the side turrets broke to catch farm, where I felt like you can't be top lane, you should be making plays with your team. I'm really worried for Febibin if mid does become more utility or they don't play around him as much, and yeah, that's my biggest concern for
I mean, Misfits have looked good, like they've been snowballing games, but there's some fucking ganks that they do that should never fucking work, and I hate to see them work.
Like the Maxwell Karthus ganks,
Yeah, well, I mean, the one that sticks out is you remember the Nunu lane gank bot where he mispathed. He started, it was the game where he was playing Nunu and they ganked to Tom Kench. Gorilla was on Alistar. He starts blue side, right? He clears his whole blue side, and then he goes to his top side, and the Xin is counter jungling him. I think it was versus Origin. I think it was Cold playing Xin, and he passed horribly. He ends up in a situation where it's like, oh, now I'm on my side that has no priority, and I can't fight the enemy jungler. I have to give up my whole fucking jungle. So he just walks bot, lane ganks Mithy. Mithy just fails his fucking shield. Yeah, he just snowballs down the lane. Mithy fails his shield, like just doesn't shield, like doesn't heal or anything, and just dies to the gank, and then they somehow fucking like snowball the game off that. And it just seems like so unlikely that shit's gonna work. Like pathing like that versus a good team, like when everyone's playing solid, that'll just be like your jungler is now behind for like the foreseeable future. Your jungler is behind until you're able to set up some team play that's better than theirs, instead of like these random fucking ganks working out where it's like, oh, I guess if their support doesn't flash the combo, doesn't press his fucking E on Tom Kench, doesn't heal. Like Mithy just played that so mechanically bad that the most they should get is like a flash, and instead they get everything off it. I don't know. I just don't see that being like a recipe for success later on.
What's another LEC team you want to talk about? What's one that you got some good insight on, or you like or you don't like? Let's have some strong feeling about this.
I like Schalke a lot. I'm a Schalke fanboy.
Okay, why's that?
I think Upset is actually just an insane player. I think Upset is like one of the best AD carries in the world, actually.
In the world? So you would put him with like Uzi, all those people? Uzi, Viper, Teddy?
Not like Uzi, Viper, Teddy. Like I think he's probably like the best AD carry in LEC. That's what I would say.
Okay,
let's maybe like I would put him I'd put him at top 10 in some place in the world.
All right, let's compare him to someone that everyone like here in the chat would know. Doublelift. Between Uzi and Upset, who would you? Or not Uzi and Upset. Upset and Double. Where would you put Uzi? Where would you put Upset?
In terms of mechanics and like ability to carry, I think Doublelift is like better at like utilizing his teammates and stuff like that. But I would think that Upset like could just deal fucking more damage in like a team fight situation, given everything. Like he doesn't have to fucking talk, and neither of them, like both of them have their mics muted, and you put both of them in the back of a fucking team fight, and it's like, all right, let's fucking go. And you give like Upset Ezreal or something. I think Upset's doing more damage. I don't know what the fuck happened to my camera, but I think Upset is just fucking like a damage fucking phenom. Like you see his Ezreal, he's just hitting every fucking Q. He's outputting so much damage, and he just plays so well, like mechanically. I feel like he just doesn't make fucking mechanical mistakes.
Okay, so I'll also say something that I kind of wanted to keep private, but I'll reveal, and hopefully we'll get Upset on the show. So when we did the veteran episode, Upset actually DM'd me and said a lot of what veteran said about me is untrue, and he's just he's not making sense about me. And I didn't know Upset very well, and I knew Veteran, and I had a lot of respect for Veteran's knowledge, so I was just polite and telling Upset, hey, like, you can come on the show anytime to talk about things, like, if you want. Like, I don't want to just see that viewpoint for it. But yeah, like, Upset's been fucking showing up. Like, D-Lim also agrees, but D-Lim's his coach, so there's a lot of bias there. When you said it, so I think it gives a lot of credibility. So I would love to have Upset on the show, and then, like, have him talk about, like, how good he is.
That guy is so fucking insane, actually. There was a point where AD carries have been pretty horrible in solo queue, and he was like the only AD carry in I think every major region that was in the top 10 of solo queue. Like he just plays well.
What you were saying about Featherman there playing Galio, that's one thing I actually wonder about, because if you look at the last few seasons of League, I know everyone's going to unfortunately think last year is like Worlds, which is a totally different meta to the entire year. But the last couple of years, mid lane hasn't actually been that ridiculously strong position it was for all the other years of League of Legends. Like there's been a bunch of teams where you didn't have to have your best player in mid lane. You doesn't have to play carries, doesn't have to, like I will say generally, just because of the way most teams are set up, they usually have one of their best players mid lane, so he's still going to be someone who's really important in team fights, etc. But I actually wonder if they keep going with the meta like this long enough, if we will get players, a bit like when top lane switched from being all carries to like you just had people who were only good on tanks, but you can make a whole career off that because you could just play tanks like 90% of the time. I want to see if that happens at all to mid lane, because it like think about when AD carry was more like just Ashe and Jhin and stuff. It wasn't really like the traditional AD carries. The reason you keep the star AD carry is because you know that might only last a split. And so the difference is that like Doublelift's going to be good for 2 years from now on. Doesn't matter if he's like the best for this split. But actually at mid lane, you see a lot of the players who've been put on like Galio, Lissandra. A lot of the really sick mid laners aren't that good on those champions. Like just because they're the best mid laners doesn't mean they can play the meta champions that well.
I mean, Featherman, I think, is just a very carry-oriented player. Like, the best players, like Faker, fucking Faker Galio is insane. Faker Galio dragged SKT across the finish line against RNG.
I don't know, man. You watched that Faker. Didn't Faker play Galio last night?
I didn't
get his ass fucking clapped.
You put anyone versus Griffin, they're gonna get their ass clapped. I don't think it's exclusive to Faker.
Yeah, Chovy is just fucking so insane. I think like that guy is just so fucking good. I don't know.
104 KDA, that's what I heard.
Yeah, 100 KDA.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But no, Thorin, I think the best players in the world will be able to play Galio Lissandra at like a high tier level. It's just like extremely carry focused player are gonna suffer a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one thing that's really impresses me with the LEC is like how competent most of their rookie mid laners look. Like I have just a different feeling towards when an NA like mid laner comes in. I'm like, oh shit. Hopefully he doesn't get fucked too hard. Like that's how I feel. Like even players like Demonte, who's like been performing, I was like scared for him going into it. I'm like, oh shit, what happens if like, you know, he's on the Huni Piglet team and then he's like losing lane and then everyone just starts shitting on him and then he's like not able to recover. Like this is essentially to me sure he played some last week, he came in halfway through summer or whatever, but this to me is like his rookie split where like they went in like you're the starter, you're gonna fucking carry this team, and you know I have the same feeling towards most rookies, but it seems like all like LEC mid laners just like all these laners from like Humanoid looks pretty good, like that I don't know how to pronounce his name, like Aberdage, the Schalke mid laner, he looks
SK. He's SK, isn't he?
No, Aberdage is Schalke. Aberdage is Schalke.
No, sorry, no, I'm thinking of the other guy.
Humanoid.
Who's
Yeah, Humanoid.
Humanoid's
okay,
SK.
Schalke.
Like Nemesis, obviously that team's been looking really shaky. You can't really. I feel like it's really hard to judge him. Like sometimes, like some things look really bad. Like his CSing in the game versus Jizuke, the Galio versus Aurelia game, where they were somehow hyping up him getting a solo kill. It's like, oh, he got a solo kill. It's like he's down 45 CS in lane. Like this is not looking good for him. That I don't know how to judge him, but their mid laners look so competent immediately, which I think is pretty insane.
And
most of their young players.
We talked about it on the last show. It's because they actually have to go through like leagues to make LEC, where in North America you just have Academy and that's it. Academy or Challenger Series before, and you didn't even get to play on those teams because people would import players like Fox, players like Fly, players like Phoenix. But actual European rookies go play in their national leagues, and then the best players out of the national leagues make it into LCS. So they actually have like a system where you get to be trained up. Oh,
okay.
One team that we didn't get to talk about with David was Vitality, or not Vitality. Oh yeah, actually it is Vitality. What do you think of Vitality so far?
I don't know what to think of them. They're really like weird to me, because they play well, but then they do a bunch of like random like hyper aggro shit, and like Mowgli is super good, but I don't know how he'll fit with the team like later. It's like some things look a little weird with Mowgli, where it's like, oh, he just died 50 times in like the Sejuani game or something. It didn't look that good. I'm not sure if that team's gonna be insane or not. Like I definitely have them top 4, but I don't know if they're gonna be maybe a finals team or just 4th place again.
The problem that team has, and this is why it's one of the weirdest off seasons I've seen, is that they only made that one change. They just changed the jungle position where they used to have Kikis, and they brought in this Mowgli guy who was obviously on a freaker. And if you look at their team, their entire team is the story of the junglers they had. So obviously they had at one point in time Gilius, and then they got Kikis, and like whole part of their story was like the idea that the jungler was shaping the team. So it's like, why do you get a Korean guy to go with a bunch of fucking Europeans? Like,
the thing that's weird about that team is like people always think they like did well, but they never actually win. That's kind of how their team goes. Like they didn't make finals either of the last splits. They ended up like winning through like, I think they got points. I think they got 3rd and then a 4th.
Circuit points.
So then they got in through circuit points, and then they looked like pretty good at Worlds. People were like, damn, they're actually pretty good, but they still lost in group stage, you know. So they always look good, but they never actually win. So
that's because, Dom, like the key secret, you're right there. I agree that it's almost like an optical illusion, and the reason is because they play so aggro early on. you feel like even when they lost, like, oh, they had a chance, like, oh, they were doing something. Whereas, like, I'll give you a great example. Anyone who watched Griffin versus SK today, that was an example of how it looks like you have no chance to win because the team just chokes you out the whole time really slowly. Like, if you let the team do that to you, that might even sometimes be the correct counterplay, like to just wait for a chance to get back in the game, like, you know, just build up, try and get the goal slightly lower. But the problem is if you then lose, it looks like you never did anything. Like, what the fuck? They just let themselves get wrecked. Whereas, like, even though the Vitality style doesn't work all the time, it gives you the illusion that you had a chance to win. You feel like you had a shot.
Yeah, their drafts are so fucking weird. Like,
I was gonna say that too. They're such a weird team.
In the draft, like, they gave up like 4 power picks to Misfits, like Galio, Aatrox. Oh, what's the other one? Galio, Aatrox, Lucian. What was their jungle they gave up? Like Karthus. They gave up 4 power picks to Misfits, and they got basically nothing out of it but Urgot. But their draft was just so much about what they like doing: Gragas support, Draven AD carry, like LeBlanc mid, and they just made their own style work. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I don't like about them is I like teams that have, you know, kind of like a formula where you can see it's like, okay, if this is left up, they pick this and they're really fucking good at this. Whereas like Vitality just feels like they fucking hard random their picks every game. It's like, oh, I guess we're playing Kled top and you know what? We're gonna fucking play some Victor AD carry in the first game of the season. Like there was a time where Attila was playing like Lux AD carry last split. He was playing fucking like Heimerdinger, which he was actually pretty decent on. But like I don't like teams that you don't know what you're getting. Like, it just doesn't seem as methodical as a team. Like, for example, like Griffin, they'll throw in some weird picks, but they always have like this mentality where they're like, okay, we have all of our like strong picks in our roles, and then we get as many of those as we can, and then we substitute whatever's like good for the game with like the roles that we're like comfortable like experimenting. So like Tarzan will have free reign. It's like, okay, he wants to pick even this game versus Zin because he thinks it's a really good game and he pops off. You know, I'm so much more confident in those types of like drafts and those types of teams.
It's also different when you're like the best team and you draft something weird, because then even the other team's scared. Like, oh shit, what are they gonna do with that? If you do like some wacky draft where you're a bad team, people are like, great, they just did a terrible fucking draft. Let's wreck these fools.
Well, for example, like a Western example is Team Liquid. I feel like Team Liquid have very methodical drafts. It's like they pick what they like to pick, and then, you know, if they like certain junglers, and then when picks are taken from them, you kind of like know what they're going to go with and like how they're going to play the game out. Whereas Vitality just feels like hard fucking random every time. You don't know if they're just going to run it down or they're just going to have like the most godly team comp ever imaginable. So
Okay. Another team I really wanted to talk about was SK Gaming. So I think their mid and jungle is actually insane. I think Pyrion and Selfmade are both. They were like, I was like, I knew Pyrion was going to be good. Selfmade came from the Lions trio from National League. So apparently he was supposed to be good. And yeah, their mid and jungle has been super fucking impressive. And I think Pyrion is like a player a lot of teams should have kept even a closer eye on, because he had such good reviews in Korea and like how he did during the whole SKT phase and like after SKT phase. When I helped out a lot of the Korean players, they will often say, oh, I want to go with this player. I don't want to just go to Europe alone, or I don't want to go to NA alone. Can I bring this player with? And Pyrion's name came up so much.
Yeah, Pyrion seems really good. I mean, SK, I don't know how to rank them because like they have the ability to just get completely rolled over, which I don't like. Like if you like the Misfits game that they played where it was Selfmade was playing Nocturne and then Maxwell was playing Camille, and the game was just such a fucking hard stomp. Like I feel like that team is gonna end up like towards the bottom of the standings, but like maybe it's like kind of like a building phase. I don't know, where do you have SK, like, because I did like some rankings myself at some point.
For EU, I probably watch less games than you, Dom, and I just try to check on like the important matches, and I didn't have like huge feelings about SK other than Pyrion and Selfmade looked damn fucking good, and the rest of the team, we'll see.
I mean, I think that's the thing about LEC. When you sit down and you try to rank LEC teams compared to NA, it's so much harder to rank LEC than NA. Like NA has very clear like top, middle, like bottom. Like everyone is gonna be like, okay, like TL and C9 look like they're gonna be like towards the top. TSM probably towards the top, and then like middle is probably gonna be something like, you know, Clutch. Like probably FlyQuest is gonna be in there, etc. Like maybe 100 Thieves will be in there, and then bottom team it's gonna be like fucking Golden Guardian, CLG, like almost guaranteed.
Oof, you have Golden Guardians hella low, but we'll talk about that too.
I have Golden Guardians as 9th. Like I posted my list on Twitter, and then when you try to rank LEC, it's like, damn, I can see like any of the teams that I ranked from 5 to 10, I could see like swapping up pretty much. Besides for Rogue, I think Rogue is like, okay, so like 5 to 9. I think Rogue is going to be the worst team in LEC. But when you look at like teams like SK, XL actually have been looking like pretty decent. I thought they were going to be like a shoe-in for being like a fucking terrible team in LEC, but they've actually looked pretty decent. You have SK, Fnatic's in like probably that 5 to 9 spot right now in terms of like rankings. You have Splice, like all those teams are, you could see them all doing well, where I feel like NA, I just don't have that same feeling about NA, you know?
Let's talk G2 and Fnatic and let's move on. For G2, the point that we constantly brought up is Caps is fucking insane. Probably the best Western player, maybe even ever. I know it's really early. He's what, 3 years into his career, but this guy looks fucking crazy, and he's in the day and age of current League of Legends where it's near impossible to win the game by yourself. Like, he's actually winning the game by himself.
Yeah,
Your thoughts on
I think
G2? Your thoughts on Caps?
Caps is fucking amazing. He's the best Western player for sure. I don't think there's even a doubt in my mind about who's the best Western player. He just pulls out so many situations. Like, the amount of consistency he has with mechanical outplays is so much higher than other players that you watch. You know, like there's other players that are good, but then you'll see them like flub every now and then. You're like, ah, fuck, like he died. It seems like Caps always is able, like even when he's in feeding a game, he's always fucking like ready to make that big play and just play it so fucking clean. So I think he's the best Western player by far. I think that he's, I mean, I have G2 winning the split, and I think that's a huge factor as to why.
I mean, his natural aptitude for playing the game is just so fucking high. Whenever he played Sylas on stream, his Sylas was so clean. How he used all the ultimate, like how he weaved skills. Like, this champion fucking came out a day ago. It's not like he's one of those players like that are on PvE, like grinding out Sylas, and then when Sylas comes out, they're able to farm the elo because they already have experience with the champion. He's fucking playing scrims and shit on the old patch, and the champion comes out, and it's just so smooth how he plays. Weldon said there's no talent for the game, but there's definitely talent and aptitude in terms of playing League of Legends or any kind of game, and the aptitude and the level of talent he has is so fucking high.
Yep, I completely agree. That guy is insane. He's too good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their whole roster is really good, to be honest. I think I think Wonder is extremely solid. He's like one of the more like players I would consider a rock in the top lane. He's somebody who I feel like is never gonna really feed or like do poorly. Like, he'll always do his job in the game. And then I mean, their bot lane I think is an upgrade. Perks and Mickey X I think is an upgrade over Hjarnan would did. Janko's kind of scares me because he's never actually like won before, and he kind of has the reputation of being a choker in big games. But I think that with this lineup, could potentially unlock Jankos into being like a fucking champion. You know, like he wins with this team, he like gets over that hump, like, oh, he's won his first fucking title, and then he just continues to win after that. Like, he feels much more comfortable on stage.
I actually think what's funny is like on that whole angle of like him choking and all this, because he has been like a bazillion semi-finals in his career and lost almost all of them except like one, I think, last year.
He
I think they made the final
yeah.
of spring last year,
And then they got fucking smashed.
Split. But the thing is, like, I think part of the reason why this is funny, because every player you'll notice in League of Legends who ever gets called a choker, just all they do is they spend the first 3 or 4 years like, I'm not a choker, I don't choke, like that, you know, everyone made mistakes in that game, like they just deny it completely. Like, I think it's even logical why he choked in some of those scenarios, because if you look at Jankos' playing style, when he is at his best, he's a mega ganking jungler. Yeah. So the big problem is this: for someone like him, your mindset in a normal game is like, right, obviously I want these champions because they've got all these tools, I can do all these things in the game, I can win the game basically. Well, the problem is when you get to a game 5 type scenario, some people, especially if they have a history of losing, they don't think like, right, what am I going to do to win the game? They're just thinking like, I don't want to be the guy who lost the game for us. And so if you're already a jungler who's a ganking jungler, the easiest thing to do is just not make the risky ganks. It doesn't look like you blew the game. You know, you were just playing the game normally. You just lost the game. But it's like you actually did lose. You did choke in as much as you didn't do what you normally would do. That's like the difference. I don't think he like outright threw all the games, you know. No, he's not in that sense. But I do think that the pressure potentially got to him, and that style of player. I mean, fucking just look at P-Dot in Korea. That's happened to that guy a million times as well. He's another guy who can just take over the whole game, or he can just fucking int the whole game or do nothing even. That's the worst. The worst for me is when they do nothing. It's like, if that's your style of play, don't pretend you fucking banged for like 3 years ago.
I want to see you like run it down trying to win.
Yeah, like put it this way: when I've seen Dardoch like feed in playoff games or whatever, I say like, okay, fair enough. That's like if you're a home run hitter in baseball, at least you went for it. Fucking strike out then. Don't just play it safe. Like that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, I could like sometimes Dardoch just like it feels like he just has no. It feels like he gets to the point where he has no confidence in his teammates to like actually do anything, and he just like, all right, I have to fucking just try to carry this goddamn game, or we just lose.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, that's his old mentality.
There's a switch that flips in Dardoch, like not just in game, like out of game too. Whenever he gets fed up enough with teammates, like he'll go off on a rant or he'll say like crazy shit, do crazy shit, and then he'll calm down. But there is like a switch that flips in and out of game for Josh consistently.
There's the other thing as well. To be fair, the other thing I would definitely do if I was on a team with Dardoch is just give him a taste of his own medicine. So, for example, I'd wait until we are in the big semi-final and then he dies right at the end of the game where we've already lost the game, but that's like the key team fight where when you die, the timers are going to be too much. As he dies, I would just, for about at least 2 or 3 seasons, I would just go, bye, piggy. And then just do that, use his own line against him. And then when he got the mad trigger, just be like, just banter. Just harmless banter. What are you talking about? No problems.
Final LEC team before we move on, Fnatic. I went back and watched the Fnatic games after the episode with David. Something's wrong with that team. They're not clicking. They're arguing internally. Like, mentality is fucking shit. Like, the game I watched, Reckless walked up level 1, burned Flash versus Schalke, and then he pushed up his lane when
that was
the jungler
game, right?
Yeah, when the jungler started the other side of the map, and jungler is gonna be bottom. You're laning versus Thresh. Thresh is gonna flash flay you. You don't have flash because you were playing like an idiot level 1, and then he gives him that gank, and then after that, game's over. Your wave is fucked. You died burning flash. Your versus a Kaisa. She's coming back with a BS sword, and then they kept feeding him hooks.
And then they had the fucking that was a sick fucking Kaisa like Thresh combo where they like W hooked at the same time. And I thought that was fucking sick. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm so hyped on Upset this year is like he always had like good supports or whatever, but like Ignar is a fucking beast support, I feel like Ignar is the type of guy that could just get you I don't know what my fucking cam is doing on Discord, but he seems like the type of guy that could that could just like feed you a couple kills, like it's like, I hit a couple like nasty hooks, here's a couple kills, go fucking carry the game. I remember when he played on Misfits, he did that a few times with Talon Summer where it's just like, damn, he just made the whole fucking play by himself. Like, if I was fucking playing AD, I would have got that kill, he'll just do the whole fucking play by himself. Let me see if I can rejoin the call and that'll fix my thing real quick. I don't know what's happening.
Go to settings and toggle the video, or like reselect the cam. That's what I did. Or if it might
just
be
turn it on and off again, basically.
Or if you have your OBS on, it might be trying to use the cam. And
no, I don't. Normally, I have to like. I'm gonna close Discord completely. This is normally what I've had to do to fix it.
Okay.
1 second.
Oh damn! It's just it's just a big one of Thorn now.
Just wait for it, isn't it?
Yeah, wait for it.
Just wait.
We can switch over to LCS once. Oh man, Dom actually watched so much of LCS and LEC. I'm surprised.
And
there we go.
Okay, excellent.
All right, let's switch over to LCS. Let's start with why do you have Golden Guardian so low?
I don't know, man. Like, I honestly think that Froggen is like
a trap.
Thorin's gonna hate me for this. I don't think Froggen's like playing good anymore. Like, I don't know. He looks like he seemed like a do nothing mid laner in the last couple games. Like, it doesn't seem like he's really making any plays or doing anything proactive. Like, I don't see who's gonna carry that team. It seems like I don't think Definitely is insane. Can Hunter carry the team? Like, they put him on carries. So he was like, it's like, oh, you've got like 50 CS up and your whole team's dead. Excellent. Like, how are they? Like, who did they lose to? They lost to Optic, right? Did they lose to Optic?
No. They lost to FlyQuest, and I think the other game was against someone good, so I'm trying to think who that one was.
Not TSM. FlyQuest, Echo Fox. FlyQuest and Echo Fox. They lost to Echo Fox.
They lost to Echo Fox. And I have Echo Fox as one of like the bottom teams. I have Echo Fox like coming in 8th, and then I have Golden Guardians like 9th because I just think they're a worse team than Echo Fox. Like, maybe I could see some teams doing like worse than I expect. Like, maybe 100 Thieves never gets their shit together and they're just terrible. Maybe that happens and like Golden Guardians doesn't come in that low, but I just don't see who's like gonna fucking carry that team. Like, who's the shot caller on fucking Golden Guardians that's gonna lead that team to victory?
Historically, Froggen teams have had not good macro. Historically, Ole has never been a shot caller. Definitely and Contracts aren't the shot callers. Haunter is like the only person potentially, and that's not enough. they don't have shot callers, and something that Doran is going to disagree with. Once you're out of competitive for a while, and I think the problem with Froggen and problem with a lot of the old school players is if you're super successful in season 3, season 4, or even early as season 2, and you take a break and you don't have success, one thing that happens is you don't change your mindset to the game. Like, because the league is always changing. League has changed so much from when Froggen has been successful, and I don't think his mindset has changed. His mechanics, whenever I see him play in solo queue, or whenever I even see him play nowadays, other than that Galio not flash W taunt thing, like his mechanics are fine. He knows how to farm, he knows how to team fight. Just how he thinks about the game and how he thinks the game should be played, I think has problems, and I think that's where Golden Guardians is failing.
Where do you think that they'll like end up throughout the season, Loco?
Outside of playoff, like probably just outside of playoff, 7th or 8th.
7th or 8th. Okay, so maybe I just think they fucking suck or something. Because I have them at 9. So.
9th. So who's okay? So who's 10th on your list?
CLG.
CLG. So you think Golden Guardians will do worse than Optic, worse than Echo Fox?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go. Let's talk about. Or Dorian, any thoughts on Golden Guardians before we move on to a different team?
Well, first of all, I noticed both of you just only talked about one player in the whole team.
He's so central to the team, Froggen.
Well, I mean, I talked about like I don't think contracts to me. The thing about contracts and definitely is they were both like on a 10th place team for a full year. I don't know if they're gonna suddenly like change their mindset and be like, we're fucking carrying this team now. Like, are they dependable? Are they like, do they know how to actually win on stage when their team isn't doing particularly well? I don't think so. I mean, mechanically, I think the roster is good on paper, right? There's no player on that team that I'm like, this person fucking sucks mechanically. Like, they're all pretty good mechanically. I just don't like. They seem to me like Echo Fox 2.0, like old Echo Fox, you know, the old Froggen Echo Fox. That's how I see them playing out, where they're just like one of the worst teams. Like they're all pretty good mechanically, but they just never get it together enough to win.
Definitely in contracts are players that can function on a winning roster, but they can't be the core part of a winning roster. Like if mid, top, and support were different, right? Like if they were giving good mid, top, and support, I think definitely in contracts could win with them, but they're not difference makers. They are good young players that can develop, but who are they learning from, and like who's the one supporting them?
I always find that super interesting. I was thinking about that yesterday because there's all these players that you like see on winning teams and you're like, damn, they're fucking good. Like contracts always look good when he was on C9, right? The other person I was thinking about was Biofrost. When he was on TSM, it's like, damn, he's the fucking god. Look at all these Bard ults. He's making all these plays. And then since he's been on CLG, like it just doesn't look like the same fucking player. It looks like it seems like when you get put on a team that's good enough, it's like so easy to win.
When you get players that can build their own lead and that can also tell you how to play the game, that's so fucking important. On C9, Contracts doesn't have to be the main shot caller. He has Reaper teaching him how he should be playing. He has other people on the team that can like direct him and push him in the right direction. Biofrost with Double Lift and Bjergsen, like they do all the shot calling and he just has to play his game. It's so different being like the leader and the difference makers on the team, and the leader and supposedly the difference makers on Golden Guardians are Haunter, Froggen, Ole, and I don't think there's enough macro knowledge or enough leadership or enough just winning list for that team to succeed.
Yeah. So who do you have? Who's your like 9th, 10th? If you have Golden Guardians at like 7th or 8th. Like, who do you think are the worst?
Didn't you do a list somewhere, Loco?
But that list is fucking donezo. Like when the list is done that was my preseason after week 1. Of course, I changed my mind.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Optic or Echo Fox at 10th. I don't see how these Well, let's talk about CLG before we get to Optic or Echo Fox because you have them at 10th, so that's super interesting. I don't think anyone had CLG at 10th. Hit me with it.
Yeah. I think they fucking suck. Like I don't know. Like I just think they're like not gonna like their whole top lane situation seems like a mess. Darshan has not been performing well like in solo queue recently. He hasn't been doing well like in the first game. He hasn't been doing well. He doesn't look like he's gonna just shit on people like he used to. It doesn't seem like he's the same type of player. Jungle situation seems kind of like a mess to me. Yeah, I don't know. Like Wiggly and Moon, both of them are like pretty good. I don't know if they're gonna be able to like really fucking carry games. Power of Evil didn't even look that good when I saw his laning. You know, he used to be this lane dominant player. And he was like pretty much like effectively like losing lane even with pressure in the game versus TL, right? So to me it just seems I just don't see them like I don't see which team they're gonna actually just be like shitting on. And what did they get last split? They were like 9th or 10th.
They didn't make playoffs both splits. Yeah, they were like 9th or 8th.
They missed it by like one game or something.
They're 9th or 8th. They're 9th or 8th. Because Golden Guardians was 10th, so they can't be 10th.
Yeah, I think they were 9th. So, like, that to me, it doesn't signal like a team that I don't think they made that many positive changes. Like, what did they do to their roster? They brought in Power of Evil instead of Huhi. I think that's an upgrade.
That's an upgrade.
I don't.
You don't think Wiggly over Reignover is an upgrade? I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah, probably an upgrade, slight upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that's enough to like make them better than some of the other teams? No. Like, I don't think they have somebody who, to me, is just like a fucking huge star player besides for maybe Power of Evil.
To be fair, Loco's nailed it though, because here's the thing: that's not normally, Dom. If I was talking about a lineup, that's exactly what I would do first of all. If a team's doing badly, I'd look at the roster. Like, do we have the right pieces? Could we have gotten better players? Luckily, though, we don't need to do that because, as Loco alluded to before, the head coach of CLG, Weldon Green, is someone who has gone on record saying talent does not exist. So as a result, it doesn't matter what players you give him. Let's just let him train them all up to be the best in the world.
I think
I'm just waiting for him to make
coach.
5 fakers. Yeah, but there's no problem. Remember, you can't use the talent angle if then you say talent doesn't exist. Like, take the players and make them fucking sick then. Problem solved.
I think Weldon's like really good at working with players like that, like new players that like to get them into like a mindset where they can like be okay winning, be okay losing, that type of thing. I think he's really good at making stable players. For CLG, I just think the players aren't good enough. Like, who's the top laner that's going to stand up to all the fucking monster top laners in LCS? Like, which top laner? Is it going to be Wiggly or Darshan? Like, which one of those guys is laning versus fucking Broken Blade? Who's laning against Huni? Who's going to lane against fucking Licorice? Who's going to lane against Impact and, like, shit on them? You know?
Well, here's my thing with CLG. I also agree with you. I think Weldon's a good coach, and Weldon getting buy-in from players is something that's huge. Weldon's the best salesman in League of Legends. Weldon can sell you anything to a player, and that's so fucking hard to sell a player on your philosophy, and Weldon kills it with that. And according to Weldon, Irene's a great strategic coach. It's just they're trying to make a 10-man roster happen. Why do you need to make a 10-man roster happen? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the point of trying to make a 10-man roster happen?
What do you mean you don't understand? He's the best salesman ever. Why didn't he sell you on the idea of a 10-man roster?
I mean, the problem is they don't have like it's not like they went into this like, dude, we need to have like this 10-man roster. I think that they just like were like, which of these fucking like jungle top lane combos is actually gonna fucking work? Like, is it the Moon? Like, what gives us the best chance to win? Is it the Moon Darshan combo? Is it the Wiggly Fallen Bandit combo? Like, I just don't see either of those combos being good enough to because almost every team is decently strong top jungle in the league right now. So which one of those which one of those rosters can actually compete? I just see that like them losing that.
Here's what's whack, Dom. Like, you know what? If I get something wrong or a player I say is really good does really badly, I don't just deny it completely and then just keep moving on. Based on what Loco just said there is literally nothing Weldon could do on this team to ever get criticism. This team could come last place, lose every game, and he'll just say the same shit. Well, I'm sure he got them to buy in, and he probably helped them.
No, I'll criticize.
I have fucking any excuses.
I'm criticizing Weldon for trying to run a 10-man roster. Well, how is that not criticism? I think it's there isn't enough talent to run a 10-man roster, and also the huge fucking problem with the 10-man roster is in League of Legends, the time you learn the most is when you lose on stage. When you lose on stage, you know exactly how good you are, you know exactly how much better someone is, and you feel the fucking lesson down to your bones. And for a player like Wiggly, who's just starting to play in LCS, he had 2 games last year in summer. Those were giveaway games when CLG was out of playoffs and all that, and he had a good showing. Invest the fuck into Wiggly. Let him play on stage. Like, it's okay if CLG has a fucking garbage spring split. If they can develop Wiggly and they can make him a piece in the future, they get something out of spring. But running this whole 10-man roster stuff, splitting time with Moon, it hinders Wiggly's growth. And I think it's super fucking important if CLG starts growing and investing into their actual talent. Like, stop with this 10-man roster shit. Invest into Wiggly. Make sure he can be a good player. And between spring and summer, pick up a EU or a KR top laner, just upgrade top lane and CLG can be a contender.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's so surprising to me. It's like, why not use the 2 import slots? Like, why not invest into 2 import slots on that team? You have NA bot lane, right? You have the Stixay Biofrost. You have NA bot lane, you have NA jungler. Why are you not importing both your solo lanes on that roster? Like, what is the downside? Like, There's no import. You're telling me there's no import that could be better than Fallen Bandit and Darshan?
There was
the thing is, they
there was
tried.
this Korean top laner I remember that like was available and has a history of playing in NA on many different teams, but they again, you know, one of Loco's favorite coaches just chose to go a different route on that one.
It has to be budget restriction. They talked to Flame. I can confirm that they talked to Flame 100%. They talked to European top laners. Jacob Wolf can confirm that. There was a report out. CLG talked to multiple European top laners, and they decided to not go with him. It has to be due to budget, and or else they felt like
How do
they
they
could
not
develop.
have budget? How does this team not have budget? Like, what are they doing with their finances?
Because bizarrely, the best salesman in the league can't fucking sell anything. I mean, all he'd need to do is convince him, hey,
He's a
give me the
fucking
money.
coach. Do you know what a fucking coach is?
I don't know what he does, mate. You tell me what he does. Go on.
He's a coach, so he's not the one that fucking decides on how much budget the team has. Like,
That's definitely not what I said. I said if he's a salesman, he would get the org to buy into his vision to buy the players. Do you see the mechanism?
yeah, but what happens if the org just mismanages everything and just doesn't have the fucking money?
That's entirely possible, but this is like an unfalsifiable scenario. Like nothing's ever this guy's fault.
Man,
I mean,
CLG's a piece or two away from contending, and the fact that they didn't spend to make sure they can get a better top laner is gonna hurt them so much. And the thing is, it's not like they were full save money mode this year. They weren't like, okay, we're just gonna save money. Maybe we'll get maybe we'll get Keen, or maybe we'll get someone cheap in mid. Power of Evil was wanted by so many teams, and for Power of Evil to join CLG, he must have gotten paid a lot.
yeah, I mean, I think the where they fucked up the biggest. I mean, if they're having any budget problems, I think it goes down to like, why did they pay that fucking much money for Reignover after he had a horrible season on TL? Like season 7, Reignover looked like it was like, what the fuck happened to this guy?
Of course, yeah.
And then CLG's like, you know what? That's our like $600,000 man or whatever the fuck he got paid.
Like CLG taking Reignover that year would only make sense if this was like a sport that has a salary cap. You know, sometimes you have to take some other guy's bad contract because like it's going to run out in 1 year and then you have free cap space. It's like if that existed, it'd make sense. But they obviously did that move thinking he was going to be really good and they'd like turn the whole franchise around or some shit.
Yeah, no, they had this mentality that he's gonna fucking work with the CLG system. It's like, nah, dude, he's like a CLG player because he did something like in fucking season 6 where Immortals got knocked out, and then season 6 like Reignover went and participated in their boot camp.
Yeah, he was a jungle coach for CLG.
Yeah, so he was like a jungle coach. So they're like, oh shit, this guy like works with our philosophy. He's gonna be the fucking best. And then in season 8, when he freed up, they went for him, and it just ended up being like, yeah, it looked literally the same exact. It looked like the same exact thing as Reignover on TL. It looked like the same exact thing.
Well, I still believe in Reignover somewhat, but the problem is both on TL and CLG, this Reignover is someone that's an enabler. He enables your best solo laners to fucking carry. Both times on TL and CLG, they gave him the weakest solo laners possible. On TL, he had Lorlo and Golden Glue as his solo laners. Lorlo and Golden Glue. And then on CLG, he had Huhi Darshan.
Yeah, but here's what tilts me about that, Loco. This is why I'm trying to make the point not about the players, but about the org and the people picking and putting these players in the game. Because here's the thing. CLG don't think these are budget players. They thought that having a team with fucking Darshan, Hui, and Stixie as the traditional carries was a team that could win. They believed that. Because the problem CLG has as a team is like, I'm trying to think what you call it. It's called something like the low standard of expectations. They don't expect you to be a sick player, right? What they do is the logic of like if I told you, oh, I'm making a team, right? Here's the team. And I say, right, first player, I've got Darshan. You probably would say like, okay, you know what? It's not the worst player. Let's see what the other players are like. If the other players are really good, maybe that can work. And then I'm like, I've got Stixie. You're like, you know what? He's still above average. Yeah, that could work. Let's see. What are the other players? It's like, I've got Hui. It's like, yeah, these are all the same. That's it. I'd say at times he's been. Bear in mind how bad CLG's been over the years. Like I don't think he was as bad as Dennis. I don't think he's a very good player myself.
So like, if you
that's
looked
my
at
point. To me, these are all just average players at best. You know. And if you
That-
get all
that's-
three at once, what do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's any world where I would rate 6A as like one of the top 5 AD carries in the league right now. Like you'd have to say double lift, sneaky,
Zaban.
bang.
Double leaf.
Sven.
I mean, there's a lot of talent at the
Yeah.
moment in LCS for that position. Sure.
Yeah. So you look at that and it's like, so You're telling me he's and Piglet's up there too.
Oh yeah, so that 5 is filled up. Yeah, he's 6 at the highest. At the highest,
Like
he can be a 6.
Loco, the real issue here is this, right? Like, I'll go ahead and tell you, I never have looked at this CLG lineup and thought they were ever going to be good at any moment. But the real reason why I think you hyped them is just because you were all in on Wiggly, right?
Yeah, I was all in on Wiggly, and I thought they would be developing. I didn't know they would do Tim's system, and also one reason I don't shit on Weldon so much for the roster thing is there's so many times in my career I had no choice over roster. The roster was given to me by the org, and the mic is never in Steve's face. The mic is never in Andy's face. The mic is never in Hunter's face. I'm the one that has to sell sell it to the public. I'm the one that has to be like, these are the players that I personally picked. These are the players I'm proud of, and these are the players I think can take us to the next level. So I'm not 100% sure if Veldon picked them. I just know as a coach, that's just your position. You are the fucking... you're always on the chopping block. The org makes the decisions for you, but you're the one that's going to be responsible one way or the other.
I'll be very impressed if this team can even like get close to, if this team finishes like 7th or 8th, I'm like, damn, well then you fucking pulled it together, because I really have no expectations for this team. You know? And
by the way, Loco, what I'm saying is not unfair, because if you remember, I also said the opposite. I said when you looked at this lineup, this would actually be where Weldon would get a lot of credit from me. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't get that much credit if you come in and take fucking Season 6 TSM and, they won the league. Yeah, no shit, mate. They literally did have, like, most of the best players in NA, including, like, it's like I always make this point. Everyone raves about that undefeated split where they lost the one series, right? Mm-hmm. They had the 2 people competing for MVP were in the same fucking team competing against each other. Like, yeah, unsurprisingly, you had some pretty good talent in that team. Like, for me, you can only see how good most coaches are when they're with, like, the borderline roster, or the roster where there's, like, this guy was a flaw played, or this guy had a problem attitude. And then if you turn that guy around, you can tell something changed. That like, can't just be in the game.
Like Loco on TL with Piglet and Phoenix. Yes.
I don't know about that. Wasn't that you just you just put a Band-Aid on, they lived one day extra and then bled out?
All right, let's move on to a different
You didn't like fix the guy's leg. He still had to have it amputated at the end, including you.
Dom, another team that people are super high on and also super low on is Clutch. Where do you have them?
I have them, I think I had them 5th.
5th? How do you feel about the team overall?
I think DeMonte, if he plays well, I think that team has a lot of potential. Like, they can be a threat. I'm still not big on Lyra. I haven't thought he's been good in a while. Like, he didn't impress me at all in season 8. I rated him the lowest jungler in the league. I thought he was the worst jungler in the entire league. Even behind people like Rainover and stuff. Like, I had him really, really down there. Cooney's like scaring me. I don't know. Is he like not as good as he used to be? Like, cause he has some like Broken Blade shit on him pretty fucking hard. Mm-hmm. Like, that was as hard as I've seen a player get stumped. One thing that I like about that is even when Hooney's behind, he like knows what to do to get back into it. Like, he knew when he couldn't go to lane anymore, he roamed mid, like cleared a couple pink wards, like just taking Gromp. Like, he still does shit, so he's still like invested in the game. He's not one of those players that just gets stomped in lane and it's like it's over. He actually is willing to like still play the game out. But I don't know. I don't know if that team has it in them to like really like beat some of the better teams in the league.
All right, let's start top to bottom. My opinion on Hooney is, I actually disagree with you. I don't think Hooney's that invested into the game, because I think Hooney's talent level is fucking insane. This is a guy that randomly played Overwatch when he was on Immortals, and Immortals' team was like, hey, you're on break after summer. Do you want to play Overwatch with the Overwatch team for a bit? He was that good where he could have gone pro in Overwatch also. He's good at any kind of game he touches. So he has insane amount of talent. When Hooney doesn't do well, I never feel like, oh, Hooney's deteriorating. He's extremely young. He's like early 20s. My feeling is Hooney's not invested enough into the game, or Hooney's bored. So I still think Hooney's fucking good. It's just how invested he's going to be in it. As for Lyra, or go ahead.
I wasn't really talking about his investment level. I was just talking about like the fact that he still like understood what to do when he was behind. Like, he actually is able to make those decisions himself. Like, you can tell that there was no one on the team that's like, all right, Hooney, don't go back top, like come mid and hit this pink ward and then like walk the safe way and then do Gromp after you're done like killing the wave. Like, no one's telling him to do that. He has those instincts, which I think is good, because I've seen some top laners, like, I don't know, like somebody, for example, like Solo, like Solo from Fox. If he loses lane, he's just going to be shit on for the whole game. He's not going to do one thing, So at least Hooney's like able to get back in it at some point, or like not lose the whole game by himself.
Mm-hmm. And then for Lyra, I think Lyra is an extremely smart player, and Lyra is a really good glue piece for Piglet. I don't think Piglet respects a lot of junglers, And I think Lyra is actually the one player that Piglet can respect and be like, okay, this player, you know how you said there was a certain point where Piglet respected you and he allowed you to do what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
I think Piglet will give that to Lyra, but he won't give that to many other junglers. So I think Lyra is a really good piece.
I mean,
to go
I
along
think it
with
helps
Piglet.
if the jungler is Korean.
Yeah, to be
A
honest,
lot.
I agree. Yeah.
Like if the jungler is Korean, I think it's just different. If it's like an NA player, it's you better be fucking good because he's gonna.
You better be Dardock Dom level good, or you're not gonna get respect. But yeah, Piglet's probably gonna respect Lyra a lot and allow Lyra to go wherever he needs to go. And Vulcan's just Piglet's sidekick. Honestly, at this level, Vulcan's learning a lot from Piglet, and
I think Vulcan's really good.
he reminds me a lot of Matt when Matt first started, where they're mechanically good, and they just have to listen to Piglet, and they're willing to listen to Piglet. So there's never gonna be arguments on that end. Vulcan will just listen to Piglet and do what Piglet needs him to do. So he's going to be good and he's going to grow under Piglet, and I think they're going to function well as a duo.
Yeah. What do you think about Demonte? Like, how good do you think Demonte is?
So I interviewed Demonte and I watched his games. From what I heard about in scrims, Clutch plays their scrims to play towards topside, and Demonte doesn't get a lot of help. And there's been a lot of mid boom from what I heard. And then on stage, Demonte has actually been really clutch. And after interviewing Demonte, his mindset is, I'm not going to be one of those NA mid laners that are there to just be there and play through other people. I can carry, give me the resource, I'll do what I need. So his mindset itself is different from a lot of the NA mids. So I think there's potential there. It's hard to say if I'm super high or super low on him, because good mindset, good skills, but we need to see things play out. He'll be like the first, right? He'll be the first really good, like young NA mid to succeed if he actually makes it. So odds are telling me to bet against him, but he is a little bit different from the other NA mids, so we'll see. But I do agree, how Clutch performs has all to do with Demonte. If Demonte performs, this team can actually contend.
The problem is what you just said though is like sounds great in an interview, but he does play with Huni and Piglet. Like of all the players who are never going to give you the chance to shine when you're in one of the other like traditional roles, they've got to be the most extreme examples.
I mean, I think it just depends on if he consistently plays well. Like if he has like a couple bad weeks, I think that they give up on him fast. You know, that's how I see those players being. It's like, okay, we tried to like let him play some carry champions. Now play Galio for the rest of your goddamn life, and I'm gonna fucking carry the game. Like,
Doran, they let him pick Akali. They first picked Akali. They didn't give it to top lane. They instead gave it to Demonte, and Demonte performed really well alongside Piglet that game. So he's buying good credit right now. But I agree with Dom.
Sure.
If shit
it's like
goes,
Dom says though.
if shit
Let's
goes
see in
well,
4 games from now when they've lost 3 of them, you know.
Yeah. This is a high variance team. All right.
Especially because the one moment that is definitely going to make them rethink that is when they give him a carry champion and fucking Huni or someone's on like a bruiser and it's in a team fight and then this guy doesn't carry the team fight. It's like, well, I would have done that. It's like, that's the moment you don't want.
Pick a team. Let's talk.
FlyQuest. I'm really high on FlyQuest. I think they're gonna be good.
Yeah.
Actually.
How good? Where's your feeling? What's the highest they can place?
Highest? I'm not sure about the highest. I think they're gonna end up 4th. That's what I said. So I like obviously most people think they probably suck. I think they're gonna be 4th.
I think they're a super easy team to underrate because a lot of their players are secretly good. Pobelter is secretly good. A lot of people don't give credit to Pobelter, but he's fucking good, especially in NA. Really, and on TL, he got hampered a lot to allow the team to play through double lift. So Pobelter has a lot of potential. People don't remember Pobelter on Immortal, playing Azir, playing carry champions as needed and performing well. And the other player that we talked a lot about, Centaurian, also like hated by the community, but actually rated really high by the pros. So they have a really solid mid and jungle. Turtle, more than serviceable. JJ and Viper is now where I worry a little. So it's not like FlyQuest played amazingly good teams last weekend and they stomped them. They played mid-tier teams and they smashed mid-tier teams. So
they didn't even really smash them, to be honest. Like the early game against the Rakan where Turtle was playing Ezreal. Yeah,
where they got caught out.
Yeah, where like JJ just fucking ran it down so hard. I haven't seen somebody run it down that hard on stage in like a while. That was fucking 4. He was just started 0-4. Just 4 like random fucking solo deaths just inting. That was pretty impressive. But I don't think that he'll be that bad for that long, you know? And I thought Turtle looked so insanely good actually. Like his Ezreal was actually so fucking clean. I don't know.
Turtle's also a high variance player though. You'll see Turtle on good days and you'll see Turtle on bad days. I can't give them fourth. I think that's a little too high at the end of the season, but I think they make playoffs for sure.
So you have them 6th then?
Yeah, 6th or 5th.
Okay.
Dorian, what about you?
Who do you have like top 4? Like just list off your top 4.
Okay, I mean, super easy. TL, C9, TSM. Oh, who'd be my 4th? TL, C9.
That's where I put FlyQuest because it's like Clutch, 100 Thieves, FlyQuest. That's what you got there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I can't definitively put a team, but I do think 100 Thieves and Clutch are more likely to be 4th than FlyQuest.
I think 100 Thieves is a fucking trap, bro. I think 100 Thieves is such a trap.
Well, let's get Dorian's opinion on FlyQuest, and we can move to 100 Thieves. Dorian.
Not that dissimilar to you. Like, I agree. Like, the problem they have is the roster looks terrible on paper, but that is also because most of those players who are actually decent on the roster are like underrated players. Like, I totally agree. Paul Belter and Wild Turtle in NA pretty much could probably always be above average pro players. Like, they seem always good at their role. So, in fact, actually, if anything, I think you could argue that Wild Turtle, when he's been in the non-TSM teams, looked even better. Same when he was on Immortals. He was carrying loads of fucking games. So I think like they've got like underrated talent. I'm kind of with you though. Like I thought before the season, because I assumed people like 100 Thieves would actually be good based on their roster, I thought they would be like 5th to 6th. So basically like first round of the playoffs and then done. But actually with people like 100 Thieves shit in the bed, TSM, I don't even know what's going to happen with them yet. I think there's so much mobility around the other top teams. There's a world in which this team could steal a spot and come like semi-finals or something. I don't think they can go further than that though. I think it's unreasonable to expect this team could actually challenge for the championship.
Yeah, for sure.
But they shouldn't even have to. Like, look at the players they've got. Like, if they can even make playoffs, I think they've done their job. And if they make top 4, I think they've done an amazing job. One thing that I think is really underrated, that I think they're really strong in, is their team culture is going to be really fucking good. If you look at players like Santorin, Turtle, Pobelter, those are like some of the best veterans to foster young talent because they're never going to make you feel like you're a piece of shit. You know?
Yeah.
Where some veterans will make you feel like you're a piece of shit. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what, like why are you here? You know, that's a mindset that I feel like is tough to grow in. But if you have people like Viper who like I don't think like if he makes a mistake, I don't think Santorin's going to be shitting on him. I think Santorin's going to be like, yeah, I believe in you. Like, you can do better next time. Like, whatever. Like, he's a generally positive guy. I think Popwelter's learned how to be a really good teammate as well. And I think Turtle is like the most chill fucking teammate you can have. So when I see those 3 being the veterans on a team, I think that it gives them a great environment for the rookies to like succeed and play to their potential.
So, Dom, tell me, why is 100 Thieves a trap?
Because I think Hui is bad.
How bad?
Straight up. Like, bad. Like, probably one of the worst players in the league.
like 9th or 10th bad?
Yes.
It's got to be contender for worst mid laner. Come on. Bear in mind, Crown actually played pretty decent in like half his games. Like, it's not a good spot. It's a pretty hard position at the moment.
Who are the bottom tier mid laners? So it would be like Froggen.
Yeah, because look at it.
Froggen.
Yeah.
Huhi. Look at Thorin go silent. Look at Thorin go silent when I said Froggen.
Dude, we all know Thorin's just the biggest fucking Froggen fan.
Here's the thing, Loco. You can flame me all day long when 2 games have been played, homie. You act like he's played 7 seasons in Golden Guardians.
Oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
That's how whack your comebacks are. I go at you at real points. You have to come and you have to create a fake narrative. Okay, yeah, you know what? Froggen played 2 bad games. Yeah.
Wait.
With a team he said would never be good anyway.
Was it you or Dom that just said Power of Evil?
I'd put Power of Evil in there.
Really?
No, I wouldn't put it.
Power of Evil was 3rd best mid laner last year.
Right.
Beyond
Can everyone just use their brain for a second and realize there are 10 players we're talking about? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're talking about who the worst ones are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So who are you put? Let's go the other way then, Loco. Who's below Power of Evil?
Okay. So Huhi, Froggen. Let's see. Who else is on the team?
I would think that DeMonte would be worse than Power of Evil, personally.
Right now, like especially with what DeMonte.
Yeah, but we're not doing that. No, we're not doing what they could be because we have to only go off 2 games.
Okay, I'll give you 3 mid laners that are worse than Power of Evil. Hui, Phoenix, Froggen. The only thing I praise Phoenix for is his mechanics and his laning ability. I shit on him for never wording. I shit on him for
saying he was one of the best laners, yeah?
Yes, I said that, and that's what I'm saying.
Right, so why after 2 games have you hopped on
there? You can be the best laner, but still shitty as a fucking player if you don't know how to word, if you don't know how to work with teammates, if you don't know how to be adaptable. But I praise him for his laning ability, and everyone that's worked with Phoenix that we have on the show, Mark Z, David, Who else?
Come
Like,
on, I get the premise.
I
but-
play Phoenix, man. I played with that guy
Yeah,
for years.
Dom,
I get the premise, but why
Yeah.
have you just shipped your boy out instantly after 2 games?
I would always rate Phoenix low. I replaced Phoenix with Fly because I didn't think he was workable. I can commend Phoenix for what I think he's good at, but still think
Am I
of it
wrong
negatively
here?
overall as a player.
Someone tell me here, like, unless I'm mistaken, I'm sure when this Echo Fox lineup was announced, you were like big on like, oh, fucking Phoenix is going to be good.
No, I think Phoenix and Rush are going to be strong as a duo, but I think they're still incredibly flawed player. They're players with very, like, if they had a stat line, like a, what is it, Pentagon stat line, theirs doesn't look like a pentagon. It looks like some kind of weird triangle because their strengths are extremely high, but their flaws are extremely fucking flawed.
Yeah.
Why are you shaking your head? What do you not understand, Doran? Like, that a player can be really good at something and really bad at other things, and I'm commending him for the things that he's actually good at. What's hard to understand about that?
Doesn't even make any sense.
I mean,
a player can be really good, but he's actually a bad player. What doesn't make sense about that, Doc Cocksucker?
Oh my god.
The real.
So like Crown, I think is worse than Power of Evil. I would put Crown under Power of Evil personally.
Yeah,
That's
but
how
we're
I
only going off the first 2 games. Here's the thing. I think that's a stupid standard to use. Like, it's idiotic to talk about players we've seen their whole career off 2 games, isn't it? So
I mean, that's why I have DeMonte under him too. Like, I would say Power of Evil is probably like 6th or 5th. That's where I'd have him.
like my point on this one is like I'm with you on that, but like you're missing the point, Loco. There's actually mid lane's probably the best fucking role in NA.
Okay, going back to the original point, now that I think about it, the only people that I can say who he is better than is probably Phoenix and Froggen. So at the best, he can be 7.
You think Huhi's better than Froggen and Phoenix?
Who he had has more recent.
Like, he fucking entered that goddamn game. He lost it by himself. That was the worst fucking mid lane game I have ever seen a mid laner play in LCS, dude. He got solo. He flashed while in the Aatrox W. He's trying to push out a wave that's gonna push him.
You need to flash once it hits you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The mistake is
He
bad.
flashed within the fucking Aatrox W. Then he TP'd to his fucking Nexus turret from the fountain. Like, and then he got caught again. He literally just lost the fucking game by himself. Like, he straight up lost the team. Like, when you have a player like that, I just think that he's just never going to be able to.
The real question is this, Dom. It's like what I asked about Weldon. It's like at this point in time, fucking hell, like nobody can be worse than Froggen, right? Because as you just said, you just described everything who he did then. At the end, Loco just goes, yeah, but Froggen's still worse. It's like, brilliant. Yeah, sounds.
It's because what you guys are talking about is last week, but I'm trying to judge them overall as a player. I'll give you guys.
No, like, I thought Huhi was bad last season too.
Okay.
Like, I think he's been bad for a while. I think it's a long time coming. Like, I think that he's since season 6, it's just been like steady decline. I think he was worse in season 7 than season 6. I think he was worse in season 8 than season 7, and now I think it's just like hitting the absolute bottom of everything.
Yeah, I think it's hard to judge players on CLG because their management's been really bad. They let go of so many top tier players. Like, they let go of double.
Sorry, they signed one of the best coaches in the league, so it's all looking up.
What? I didn't go to CLG. Who'd they sign?
Someone who could trick you into thinking they're a good coach.
Well, you really don't think Weldon's a good coach, huh?
No, it's just that there's only 2 positions allowed. You either have to say he's the worst coach ever or he's fucking the most genius coach ever. And even when he fails, he secretly was winning because he convinced you to fail, but somehow that's not his fault. Like, I don't even know what Loco's argument is.
Why can't you commend him? No, but there's stuff that Weldon's good at. There's stuff that Weldon's bad at. That's like, why do you...
I've got plenty of videos explaining both.
Anyways, like, going back to 100 Thieves and going back to Huhi, I think Huhi's time on CLG, hard to judge because CLG management been shitty, but damn, putting him 10th, holy shit. We'll come back to this a week or so later.
I straight up just think he's the worst mid laner in the league.
Yeah.
Like,
Ow.
I would say it's fairly obvious because here's the other difference as well. Even if you're not just going off the only 2
maybe
games.
I'm wrong.
If you look at the other players, like every other name we gave has a period in their career where you could believe they could get it back again. Like, why couldn't Power of Evil be half decent? Why can't Froggen be a good mid laner? These are all not unrealistic scenarios. The difference is, if Huhi's this bad to start out with, do you really think he's just going to get like twice as good? And even if he was twice as good, wouldn't he still be the worst mid laner?
All right.
I don't know. If he's twice as good, he's not the worst.
Just saying.
In my opinion, like that's too harsh for me. But like, I just don't think that there's anyone that I would like. I don't think that there's anyone in the league right now that I would not rather have over him. So That means
Like as much as you look at some of the names on 100 Thieves and you think, oh, they could be much better players than they are now. The problem is one of the reasons why that team should have been good from day one is because the player balance looks amazing. Like you've got all these quiet players who are going to let Ander do what he wants to do as a jungler. They're not going to bully him. You've got Someday who's already, for his entire career, been a fucking god at tanking for everyone in team fights. Like that's exactly what you want if you're Huhi and fucking Bang. Bang has played his entire career one style, and now he's got Aframu. Like this team shouldn't be one where it's like having to start from zero and figure it all out. Like there should already be like a concept there, you know.
Okay.
So unlike other teams, like here's the thing: if you have a team like I'm trying to think who would have completely changed their players. I guess Clutch. If you have a team like Clutch, that shouldn't be good from day one. You know, you have to put pieces together there. Some of them haven't played together. Some of them are totally different styles of players. You have to figure out like the whole thing with DeMonte. I think 100 Thieves, the fact that they were so bad early on, it's like Fnatic in Europe. That's a really worrying sign to me.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they'll I have some faith that they'll get it together. Like some people have them all the way at the bottom. I think that they'll be like sixth. I think that they'll be able to get their shit. They have enough star players, and like they should have enough like decent like leaders that they end up better than all the teams that are downright bad. But I don't see them being better than Clutch or FlyQuest or TSM or C9 or TL. So that means they're sixth to me.
Well, Dom, what do you think of Anda? Because Anda's someone that was really hard for me to judge. He's someone that didn't communicate a lot, someone that didn't look the greatest on FlyQuest. And then when he got onto 100 Thieves, still struggled, looking better. Really good world performance, even though his team did shitty, and really good in-house performance. And then now I'm not sure what to make of Anda after this weekend.
I personally think he's the type of player that will just like play to the level of his team. I don't think he'll make his team much better than it is or make it much worse than it is. I feel like if you put him on like TSM would still be TSM. If you put Anda on like TL, they'd probably still like be able to win the league, you know? That's how I view him. I just don't think that he's the type of player that will like break his team into a new tier that they wouldn't have been in without him, I guess.
Okay. Are you down on Aframu also? Because a lot of people are like, Afro's washed. I think with personally me for Afro, it's kind of the same way I view Huni. Afro's super fucking talented at the game, and a lot of times he's just gonna be bored and not putting his all into it because league season is such a grind. And when he actually like puts his time into it, and when he actually works, he's gonna be fucking good.
I mean, I think he has been working though. I mean, I guess that's the argument that other people would be making. Is like maybe he's just phoning in solo queue, but he does play like a decent amount of solo queue. Like when you look at like pro players, I mean, he's played 40 games of solo queue on top of scrims. You know, he's putting in like a solid like 5-6 games a day after scrims, which is like higher than most of the pro players. Like in season 8, he put in a lot of games as well. I think he's still pretty good.
Doesn't LCS get so boring for you after all these years? If you just come and like you have to play, like it's just like you're just there to be there, and then during playoffs you actually turn on the fire.
For me, no. Like when I started feeling like that, I just retired. To be honest. That was my mentality. I did start feeling like that in season 6, but then I just retired. So I never was at the point where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna phone it in, and then because I don't have enough confidence in myself that I think that I would actually be good if I adopted that mindset. I felt like the only reason why I was good in LCS was because I was putting 14 hours a day and I only cared about League and I just grinded the whole fucking way through. Once I lost that, I was done.
No, I think for a lot of League of Legends players, it's kind of like regular season basketball. You don't care, especially the old school players, and then when they need to care, they do care, and they're still good. And so it's really hard for me to like shit on players like Afro.
There's certain players that can do that. I mean, Quas was that type of player, to be honest, where he could just phone it in, and then it's like, oh, he flipped a switch, and he would just perform like on stage. Like some players are more talented in that aspect, but to me, that's not like super comforting, because if they don't do super well in the regular season, this is why I have them 6, right? If they end up super low, they're gonna have to play a team like TSM first round. Let's say they end up like 5th or 6th, TSM chooses them. Because if you had to choose between 100T and Clutch, you'd probably choose
TSM roster before. They haven't done well versus Clutch.
Yeah. So TSM's going to choose 100T, and then like I think that they'll just lose first round. So in my mind, I don't know. I honestly can't even tell if 100T is an upgrade or a downgrade over last year. Like their Cody Sun Ryu roster. Like, is this roster better? Would you rather have Huhi, Bang than Cody Sun and Ryu?
I think it's kind of an inflation problem also. I would definitely have Bang Huhi over Cody Sun Ryu, but you're competing against inflation of other rosters getting better. Is this roster better against the field than it was last year? I think that's the real question.
Yeah, what do you think?
Probably not. A lot of teams really upgraded where they slight upgraded. A lot of teams, like there's no bottom feeder teams anymore. There's no teams like last year's Optic. There's no teams like last year Golden Guardians. Everyone like upgraded while this team only slightly upgraded. So
here's the thing though, like real talk, if 100 Thieves had just been the ones who signed Paul Belter instead of Huhi, wouldn't this be just a way better team?
for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Straight up.
Because that's the weird part is like we're not talking about, again, when we're talking about CLG and these teams, yeah, we are talking about teams that had limited options. 100 Thieves chose this fucking roster. Like they had all the money in the world and they said, we think this roster will actually be good. For whatever reason, I don't know, maybe Aframu sold him who he had come on board and it'd all be good or whatever. But it's the fact that they had the expectations to be a potential champion and they ended up with, admittedly, yeah, there's only 2 games. They could obviously turn it all around, but it looks terrible from the first 2.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about like the fact that it's the first 2 games. Like my ratings of teams didn't change that much. The only team that I was more hyped on than originally was Clutch. Like at first I was really not sold on them at all, but their like first week performance made me like warm up a little bit to them. Like yeah, I can see them being like, you know, 4th, 5th place team now, whereas before I had them more like 7th, 8th. But yeah, I like 100T is just a scary lineup. Like I think it's gonna be really hard for them to beat a super coordinated mid jungle because you know, like for me, it depends on Grig's wrist and stuff. But I think that if they play against a team like TSM and TSM's got Bjergsen and Grig, I think that they're just gonna lose mid jungle every single game.
All right,
and lose the map.
Let's move on to TSM. Like the big question I want to ask you: Acadian or Grig once Grig is healthy?
Grig is so good. I think Grig is actually super underrated. Like I don't think he played that well in TSM, but he's like one of those players that. He was super fucking nervous on stage, like originally, right? Like when he played with Fox in season 7, and he's never been a player that was like super good on stage immediately. It was just he needs time to get on stage. I think he had that last split, and I think he's super fucking driven and super talented. So I have a lot of faith in Grig to just be like a rock for that team later on. So I think if Grig gets healthy, I think he can be one of the best jugglers in the league.
All right.
Yeah, I think he can go against anyone.
So you're saying once Grig is healthy, they should replace Acadian with Grig, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that gonna fuck up any kind of mojo that TSM develops with Acadian? And also, like, Acadian's someone that will always have his own voice, be it right, be it wrong. He's someone that he fought with Froggen, he fought with Pirate Evil, and I think that was something that's really required from TSM junglers because a lot of TSM junglers just kind of agree with Bjerg and play to what Bjerg wants, what rest of the team wants, and then you can, like, if you play to what rest of the team wants, the jungler becomes a ward. They become like a servant to the laners if you listen to your team too much and you have to have your own voice. And I know for a fact Acadian will. I'm not sure if Grig will. You don't think there's going to be problems with that?
Not really, personally. Like I think that they'll be fine, especially because I have I like this lineup a lot more than I liked the previous lineup. I'd like the replacement of Hanser versus like Broken Blade because now I feel like they have not and like Mithy being gone for Smoothie. I don't think they have as many like strong voices that are gonna be like telling these junglers this is what you're gonna fucking do. I feel like just naturally because of the players they have, there's gonna be more room for the jungler to like voice their own opinion anyway. So I guess I'm just like I'm hyped on that. Also, like Grig is now, you know, one of the older players on the team. You know, he's one of the players that has joined. Yeah, he's like one of the players that has tenure over, I guess, Smoothie and Broken Blade. So I really think that they can be a solid team. I don't think the TSM will be better than C9. Definitely don't think they'll be better than TL, but I think that they'll be like a division between the top 3 and then like the bottom 7.
Okay.
Duncan.
Are we going to do any viewer questions?
No, cut your questions. No. Let's cover the teams. This is too good. Duncan, your opinion.
On the Grig versus Acadian thing.
And overall TSM, anything you want to talk about?
Right, first of all, like as a general rule, this applies to every team or esports game I've ever played. Like as soon as I hear like, oh, in scrims or in private, this guy's fucking so sick. You don't understand how sick he is. But he's just really nervous in the game. Get that guy a fucking million miles away from me. Like I don't ever want to be working with someone where like their own brain is the main thing shutting them down and preventing them from being a good player. Because again, like you were talking before about like what's a coach supposed to do? Tell you what a a coach isn't supposed to do. He's not supposed to get you on a fucking couch like, and so when you were a child, what your mother said to you made you mistrust authority. Like, no, you're a fucking coach. You coach League of Legends. Like, I will pick you, Gragas. Can you carry that? Well, the problem is I'm having an existential crisis about who I am and what I'm doing as a jungle. Like, sorry, mate, I think we've misunderstood our jobs here. I'm just a League of Legends coach. Like, used to play AD carry in Season 3. I'm just really here to tell you how to play the game. Like, get those people out of the fucking server. So no, I hate people. I fucking despise them, because the big problem as well is that you know the common trend with those players as well. It's like I said about chokers before. They all deny that they have that problem. They're all like, no, what are you talking about, man? I was playing all right in the game, bro. It's like so many of them are like in denial of it. That's going to take even longer to address that problem. So
Personally, I mean,
I don't know this guy. Yeah, go on.
The thing I like about Greg is like he was somebody who accepted it and then fixed it.
Okay.
In my mind, you know, like he was somebody who was like, yeah, I'm fucking bad on stage. I'm not playing like myself. I need to fix this problem. And he addressed it. He like attempted to work on the problem. And then in TSM, like, I think he was a pretty solid jungler last split. I don't think he was like.
The problem is that last split, I think for everyone was just so hard to figure out who was good and who was bad in that team, you know, like except for Mithy, just because he literally did some stupid mistakes.
Every single fucking game.
You know,
yeah.
Everyone else, it's hard to tell who was actually good and who was bad. For me, at least, like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I definitely think it was an upgrade over Mike Young. Mike Young, oof.
He was, but that's because Mike Young completely flamed out on that team. Like it just didn't work at all.
Looked rough. It looked rough over there.
Well, let's talk top teams. What do you think of C9, Dom?
I think they're pretty good. I mean, Niski I think is pretty good. I just don't think they'll be better than TL. Like I think they'll be able to beat every other team pretty consistently. I think the TL is just going to be too good for them.
I think Licorice is so damn good. Licorice.
Yeah, he's really good.
Holy fuck. I'm trying to think who I would put over Licorice. I wouldn't put Impact over Licorice. I would not put Broken Blade over Licorice. I think Licorice might be the best top laner. I would not put Huni over Licorice either.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's the best top laner.
Man alive. I get so triggered by people who are inconsistent, if you've noticed, Loco. That is the main thing I can't handle in this life, right? So you know the reason why I always used to think people were idiots who said that, like, you know when Hauntzer was in TSM, not last year, the ones where they were winning all the championships, right? Mm-hmm. And people's logic was, oh, he's the best top laner. Look, they're the best team, right? So even though in TSM, his job isn't be the best player in TSM, like that's what fucking Bjergsen and Doublelift do. His job is do his role in the context of playing with Bjergsen and Doublelift, right? So really when people said he was the best top laner, what they meant was he plays the best within the context of what he's supposed to do in his team, and he does that job really well. He was never really the best top laner, right? I'm pretty sure Someday was better than him most of the time. Like individually, if you were starting a team tomorrow and you have to pick one top laner first, you pick Someday before you pick Hauntzer.
Whoa.
Here's the problem.
Wait. Let me address you on that. I would actually pick back right now. I might be inclined towards Someday, but when you give that argument, when you're starting a team and you have to pick a player, like you have to think flexibility. You also have to think you're fucking picking them in NA. Like import and resident status matters so much. So all right, now finish your story.
Okay, but my point is this. So that by that exact same logic, everyone has to stop doing this to Impact. Like, why is he the only dude who's allowed to be on the best team and he's just not the best at his role? How can you apply that logic for all these years and then it doesn't apply to Impact? Because I would agree. By the way, if I had to pick a player now, I'm definitely going to pick almost any. Like, I'd pick Licorice, I'd pick many other players over Impact. But I will say, Impact does do his job.
I'd say, I mean, I have Impact second, personally. I would put Impact second. It just, the thing is, Licorice is just so much better than Impact on carries that
sure, I agree.
That makes up like whatever difference that like Impact has from being like a better teammate. Like I think Licorice plays tanks pretty well at this point. Like
he's not even a shitty tank player. He's a good tank player. He's above average tank player.
Sure.
He's a good tank player and he's like an insane carry player. Where like Impact's like a mediocre carry player and like an insane tank player. So I just think that Licorice is just better overall. Like if you look at like let's say if I had to give them numbers, it's like Licorice is like a 95, like on a scale of like 100. He's like a 95 carry player.
9.5 carry player.
Yeah, he's a 9.5 out of 10, and then like an 8.8 like tank, and then like you've got Impact who's like an 80 tank or an 80 on carries, and then like maybe like a 95 on tanks as well. So I just think that there's overall he just averages higher.
You want to do something even more argument for Licorice? NA resident or just NA speaks English fluently, not that big of an ego.
You've taken that
super
whole
young.
angle so far, mate. Like,
What?
you're doing that thing where I'm like, oh, he's as fast as a horse. You're like, he hasn't even eaten oats in his life. What are you talking about? You call him an animal? It's like, no, the point wasn't about that, was it? Like, when I say start a franchise, I mean in a scenario where we're ignoring national.
okay, but
like, you're just the best player.
But people always compare like Licorice to like Impact and Someday. The fact that they're even in the same argument, and Impact or Licorice's career started like a year or two ago, really truly started a year or two ago, and Impact's and Someday's career started like 4 or 5 years ago. Like Licorice is, if it's a graph of a player's player, like at first like you're good, and then you hit your peak, and then you start tapering off. Like Someday and Impact are in their tapering off, or like maintaining that steadiness, where Licorice is on its up and up.
I mean, I just think that before, other people were like before. I think that if you looked at like season 7, there's no way where you'd be like, shit, dude, Someday is actually like worse than some of these NA tops mechanically. I think Licorice is just head and shoulders a like stronger mechanical player than Someday. Personally, that's how I see him right now.
What else is there to talk about C9? I mean, C9's also.
What do you think of Sven?
Well, before going to Sven, you know how Dom talked about FlyQuest as having no troublesome veterans, and like all the veterans being like really good about teaching people, and like that being a good environment. I think C9
like that too.
Yeah, C9 has that environment, and they also have a really good coach. Where I think FlyQuest was very similar to that when they had Saint. Not saying Gabe is a bad coach, but Gabe is an unproven coach, where C9 has that environment plus a really good coach. So yeah,
does Gabe think depression is real? That is the question.
Is that a FlyQuest interview question now? Whenever you get it,
I'm fucking me, man. Go on.
Yeah, so I think C9 is like a direct upgraded version of FlyQuest. So they're not gonna cause problems. They're just gonna be good overall. As for Sven Skaren, Sven's also someone that plays to the level of his team, but he also does really well the better the environment.
Was his team fucking plat during that first game he played? What are you talking about? He's
No.
terrible.
The better, I think Sven,
As in general, you mean,
yeah.
right? Sure.
And also Sven, the better the environment, the better Sven Skaren will do. And I think TSM environment was really bad for Sven Skaren. At least for when he was good on SK Gaming, it at least felt like they were at least coordinated in what they wanted to do regarding we're going to play around Forgiven, and that's our team. And on C9, like, I feel like that's the best environment for him. And for probably most players, C9's the best environment for them.
Yep.
Well,
I think Niski's like pretty underrated, to be honest. Like I think he's pretty good overall. Like I'd say he's towards the top of like the mid laners in NA right now. Like mechanically, he's solid. I would put him above like the Power of Evil, Crown, like who like definitely over all those guys. So.
All right. I mean, now the Omega top team, TL. I fucking hate talking about this team because this seems boring. This seems so fucking boring. Holy shit. It's like, I don't know what's, it's like.
Really? I think Core JJ is super exciting.
Sure, it's exciting, but they're the same team from last year, just upgraded.
Yeah.
It's
How's
so
that not
boring.
exciting?
Because
They're the best team upgraded.
they're the best team and okay, compare them to G2. G2 is so fucking exciting because the caps and like how they play. It's very varied. It's very sporadic. It's very like highs and lows. Like Griffin is so fucking exciting because they're the best team in the world, or potentially the best team in the world. 104 KDA. There's so much good talking points regarding Griffin. Like they play Finch support, Elise support, Orange support. Like they're super exciting in a lot of ways. We go to Tarzan, like really exciting. Chobi, really exciting. We go to TL. It's same shit all over again. Tank top, utility or carry mid, glue jungler, best AD carry bottom, and then now even a better support. They're gonna win NA, probably spring and summer, not do well internationally. So it's.
You don't think they're gonna do well internationally?
Do you think they can compete versus G2? Do you think they can compete versus Griffin versus the
Yeah.
Chinese teams? Really? We started this
Maybe
episode.
not versus Griffin. Like maybe not versus Griffin. Like that's pretty fucking insane standard. But I think they could probably compete against G2 eventually.
I don't know, dude. Perks versus Jensen. I think Perks is gonna style, or not Perks. Caps versus Jensen. I think Jensen's gonna get styled on.
But what do you think about bot lane?
Bot lane?
Because that's where TL's supposed to make up that differential. And I think that Smithy's more dependable than Yankos anyway. I think Smithy's just a better overall player than Yankos for competitive. Like I would rather have Smithy on my team than Yankos in most situations.
I don't think TL can develop this year because they're playing in NA. And who's their second best competition? C9. And then who's after that? It's TSM. Where in EU, what is it? every single fucking day,
Yeah.
Park's just gonna lane versus upset, or he's gonna compete versus upset to go to MSI, and he's gonna have experience versus like insane players to actually get to MSI. Where on TL, Doublelift will never compete versus an AD carry that's better than him, and he'll never compete versus a team that sets up bot lane better than him. So he's gonna.
Caps is never gonna compete against a mid laner that's better than him in EU either.
But Caps is so fucking insane. Caps is way better at mid lane than Doublelift is at AD.
I don't think that quite checks out though, Loco. Because for example, like you were just giving the analogy there where you picked like AD carry position, which actually isn't even that sick in Europe. So I mean, not the best angle. Like mid lane, okay, I'll give you that one. You know, very strong mid lanes, but like, how does that logic work? Because by the same logic, then why were Fnatic so good? They were just stuck in Europe playing Europeans. So why would they ever beat Koreans and Chinese teams?
It's just like by this point, I've kind of not lost faith in NA teams, but until NA teams shows me something internationally, I think that has to be the expectation that we are going to be worse than Europe. That's just the norm, and I think a lot of that comes down to NA's slow speed of play, the NA RAM, the lack of macro, and I
think that one thing that's nice about TL though this year is like they have two less players that should not be fucking scared of anything. You know, like I feel like before one of the things is, you know, Pobelter is kind of like international choker, and then Ole was like trying not to fuck up the team. That's how I felt like his mentality is. I feel like Core JJ, like it's not like Impact where he won Worlds in season 3. Like this dude fucking like 500 days ago he won Worlds or some shit like that. Like it wasn't even that long ago. So like I feel like Core is somebody who's gonna empower that team to really succeed and play to their level, because he not only is he a leader, but he's also really fucking good. And I think one of the biggest problems TL had is they just flubbed every fucking engage at Worlds. Like every single time they're like, all right, Ole, go for the recombo, and he just like R's, whisks the W, gets caught by a binding, like dies instantly. It's like, all right, dude, that's the team fight. Let's go. Now they have somebody who's gonna like put them in fucking place to win. You have people like Jensen, Doublelift, those people can follow up on a sick fucking engage. And I think Core is super fucking solid at playing out team fights. I think that's probably one of his biggest strengths as a player. If you see the way he plays team fights, it's just insane.
Dom, you talked about how better LEC looked compared to LCS. Like that's where G2 is competing and that's where TL is competing. It's just maybe if they met right now, I would give TL a chance or maybe even make them favorites. But just throughout the season goes on, I think G2 is constantly going to get challenged in ways the TL isn't. I think TL is going to smash NA. I think TL is by far the best team in NA. And that's what scares me about TL. They're by far the best team in NA.
Like they're going to have time to like adapt, you know? Like they're going to have time to actually play versus these teams at these tournaments and learn beforehand. They're going to do boot camps. And I think that they'll actually be able to improve with this roster more than for example, the old TL roster seemed like it would kind of self-destruct. Like those times off would hurt them. Now I feel like that time period is going to be a benefit, having people like Core and Jensen that are just going to be two more factors that are, you know, solid. And I feel like Jensen is even more comfortable in international play than he is in NA play, because he's constantly failed in NA. But I think that now he's going to win NA. He's going to have this new like power going into international competition. I don't know. I think that this roster has a lot of potential to.
Yeah, Loco, you've got to use the glass half full philosophy. So what you need to do is think this way.
You're telling me to cheer for an NA team over a European team.
Since on paper, Team Liquid does have all these really good players, like obviously except for Doublelift and Smithy, everyone's been in the playoffs of Worlds. Everyone's had some degree of success and performed internationally. And obviously, like Doublelift looked fine last Worlds. It's only Smithy left, you know. No one ever really blamed him for Worlds anyway. So logically, as an NA team, it's good that they're actually not going to put in too much time learning now, because we all know NA teams go to Worlds, get wrecked, like play okay the first week, then change everything about their entire game, and then just lose second week. So logically, they'll have less to forget. And then if they're really good players anyway, they'll just adapt and do really well. So they've solved it. I've used the NA problem against itself, and now we're out. We're out of the loop. We escaped the simulation.
Let's talk last two teams and we can end the episode. So Dom, going to Optic, I want you to talk about this Meteos situation. Your Meteos, you have an interview where you talk about, I don't like bringing up academy players to take my spot away from me. I think that's like really bullshit. I don't know why I'm expected to do that. You have that interview 6 months ago, and then you go to Optic and you tell the world, oh, I'm so excited to play. I don't like, they signed Dardoch, but they told me Dardoch would be an academy player, and the org tweets out that you're on the starting roster 2 days before the game day, and on the night up they decide to bench you, and Dardoch plays, and he wins
Yeah.
this game. Like, what's Meteos' mindset? Like, what do you think of the whole Optic
I think
situation?
he probably feels pretty shit. Also, like, I feel like Dardoch's probably the type of player that would perform better than like Meteos in scrims. Like Dardoch's just a pop-off type player, and in scrims, games are. I don't know how they are now. Obviously, I haven't scrimmed in like 3 years, but from my understanding and from what I've heard, like scrims are still way more volatile than stage play. I feel like that's an environment where Dardoch can really just thrive. Also, I think that Dardoch was the best jungler in the league last split. Like if not the best, then one of the best. Like maybe top two, top three at very worst. I'm just
Dardoch and Torrent, one of the three are the best, but
Yeah,
top
yeah.
three between those three.
Yeah, so those are the top three, and then you have like Meteos. It's like I don't like Meteos. I thought it was pretty good too, but this team just has like two pretty good junglers, and then they don't have like their top lane situation looks pretty dire, and their bot lane situation isn't good either. So I think that the reason why I have Optic at 7th is mainly because I think that Dardoch will just end up playing throughout the split. I think that he's just going to earn the spot over Meteos. And then I think that he's the type of player that can at least beat out some of the bad teams. Like he can hard 1v9 a lot of games versus teams like Golden Guardians, versus teams like CLG, versus teams like Echo Fox. I think he pops off hard enough. He's good enough to carry the whole team.
Man, I think Dardoch's good, and I think Crown is better than I thought he would be. I thought Crown was going to be KYS mode in North America due to North American culture being very different from Korea and what he expected, but he's surprisingly doing well. And the Asta guy is...
He played really well.
I didn't even know he existed. I've never heard of him.
Is he an import?
No, he's not an import.
Who is he? I've never played against him. Does he have a name in solo queue that I don't know? Who is Asta?
No one knows, but apparently he's good. I think Optic is really exciting for summer, but not much to expect out of them for spring. I think both Asta and Dardoch are going to replace Meteos and Arrow pretty easily.
Okay. Right. Who was the last team we didn't talk about?
Echo Fox, the Phoenix
Right,
Rush
just
team.
give us your thoughts on that team then, and Dom, and then we'll close it up because we've just done an episode recently.
Asta's
So.
Neo.
Who the fuck is Neo?
He was the guy that was the UKP Neo. Wait, he's actually really good, I think. This guy is actually good, straight up. I don't know.
What the fuck is UKP?
Okay. It was just some random team. Hold on, 1 second. 1 second.
All right. We're almost finished anyway.
UKP was just some random challenger team, but Neo held rank 1 like for the first like 5 or like 4, like he was up there for like 4 out of the first 5 months of the season. He remained high challenger for the whole season. He's actually one of the only AD carries that I've played with in like NA solo queue that I'm like, damn, this guy actually plays well, So I actually have a lot of confidence in him now, knowing it's Neo. What the fuck? Yeah.
What do you think of the Echo Fox lineup?
The Echo Fox lineup. I think the Echo Fox lineup is just like can Rush. I mean, their bot lane I think is better than average. I think Rush and Phoenix are like really hit or miss players, and I think their top lane situation is going to be below average. Maybe they'll outperform my expectations, but I don't think they're going to be that good. Like I think they're going to be probably worse. They're going to lose most of their games to like teams that just outmatch them, like outpower them, like teams like Clutch, teams like TSM, teams like C9TL. I feel like they just can't win against those types of teams. I don't know if Rush can pop off hard enough.
I think this team started because Rush and Phoenix wanted to be on a team together, and I think by the end of spring and for sure by the end of summer, Rush and Phoenix are not going to want to be on a team together. I think this is going to be one of those slow internal explosion teams due to Echo Fox.
Why do you think that Rush and Phoenix are not going to end up wanting to?
Because I think he implied they don't get along or something, right?
No, they get along really well.
They get along really well.
Yeah. It's just after they play and like when you're close friends with someone, cause they're both close friends because they both think each other's good, right? When they're gonna be put through loss after loss after loss after loss, and Phoenix and Rush are both really incomplete players with extreme highs in certain regards. I think they're gonna start blaming each other, and this team's just not gonna hold. Like, who's like the responsible person on this team? Who's like a good glue player on this team? Who's gonna control Phoenix and Rush?
I mean, I think their balling is gonna be like decently solid. I feel like that's going to be like a point where they don't have to really worry about it. So it's going to be like, can Phoenix and Rush learn how to work together? Because I don't think they're going to have this massive liability bot lane at least. So.
Do you think
they have a Korean coach, Loco? Problem solved.
Do you trust in Echo Fox management, Doran?
Well,
I don't really know when they hired him, but fair enough.
That's the fucking reason that I think Dardoch ended up like this, dude. Like Echo Fox has this habit of just holding on players and not letting them explore opportunities. You're telling me that teams like 100 Thieves, teams like 100 Thieves wouldn't consider Dardoch over Anda? Like that's not just a massively clear upgrade?
So I'll tell you exactly what happened. They wanted to get Huni and Peanut together, and they held on to Josh because of that. And when they couldn't get Huni and Peanut, they wanted to go Phoenix and Dardoch, and then Phoenix wanted Rush instead. And then when they wanted to go Rush and Rush and Phoenix, at that point Dardoch was released to Optic, and it was way too late. So,
yeah, but that's the thing is like that. Sure, maybe it's not as like scumbag as I think, but in the end, they just fucking held on to Dardoch and then like fucked him out of like being able to actually
get a good
options.
get a good starting spot. So
sure. Although I will say, like, I hope players in the future learn. This is the problem in esports, right? Is if you're a player on a team, you know your managers on a personal level, so you might naively think this is not a personal relationship, but that is purely your professional relationship. So, for example, as soon as Dardoch was told by them, yeah, we're waiting actually and just seeing if these players are going to sign, he should have been in talks with other teams exactly right then, and he said, oh, well, I'm actually talking to other teams as well, and so then he would have his options.
Yeah, but that's exactly why Echo Fox did it like that, because they don't want him to have his options. They want it to be like, you're our bitch, and we'll let you fucking talk to people.
Sure.
Dorian, also, by league rules, teams can't talk to other players.
No, he should have said to them, like, either sign me now or let me talk to other teams.
No,
then they'll just be like, no.
They can literally tell him, no, you're under our contract, you can't talk to anyone. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened too. I mean, you saw how they treated, like, Altec and Phoenix, right? They don't give a fuck. Like, 5 hours before the deadline, all right, dude, you're off the team. Good luck. Like, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like in those kinds of scenarios, if you're a pro player, I'll give you a piece of advice I learned a long time ago, which is like you have to actually be like really skeptical, basically, and try and take matters into your own hands. Like if you trust other people to do you a favor all the time, they're not going to half the time. And here's the saying that you need to remember: is I always used to say this, like nobody gives a fuck about someone saying sorry. Like if someone comes to you and they just fucked you over on a business deal and they go sorry about that, it's like, well, I can't take the sorry to the fucking bank and pay my rent. Kind of like your sorry means nothing to me, mate. Like I have to be selfish and take care of myself if I can.
I mean, that was something that I was super bad about as a player. Like I think so many of these players don't know their fucking worth, and they don't know like how to like sign contracts like aggressively. They're afraid. They're like, shit, if I ask for too much money, maybe this team like won't sign me, you know? Whereas you just have to fucking do that shit. Like I think that as a pro player, I think for where I was like rated, I think I got like underpaid for most of my time. That's because I just let it happen. I'm like, yeah, pay me whatever. I'm just
that's because you were on TL.
Yeah, I mean, well, they have no problem paying people high now. So I think that like, yeah, I mean, I'm like, there was times where I asked for a raise and I always got exactly what I asked, but I never asked high enough. You know, I never knew what my worth was until I started streaming. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not like, I was a way better player than I am a streamer, but I make like 6 times the money as a streamer that I made as a pro player. So it's not even fucking comparable, you know? It just, it's so hard to know what your worth is when you're actually just playing.
The highest paid players in the league, I would imagine, are players like Doublelift, right? I don't think Doublelift could have ever reached that high of a salary if he stayed on CLG the whole time. Because he went from CLG to TSM to TL, his salary jumped extremely high every single time. And same thing for Impact. Because he went from C9 to TL, another top team, his salary jumped. Like same thing for Jensen, like C9 to TL, his salary jumped. If you want to get paid, you gotta actually fucking go out and check out your options, dude.
Yeah. And you gotta be
if you notice, another key detail that why Doublelift's career has gone the way it has is because as soon as he left CLG and broke that whole like, oh, I owe them so much, like they're my friends, you know, oh, they brought me in the team. As soon as he broke that one, now he's just a free agent. So any team he joins now, oh, I can leave TSM. He could leave Team Liquid in 2 years if he gets a better deal. And someone makes
you got to be like a fucking mercenary.
Yeah, it's freed him up to make actual.
They're gonna treat you like they're gonna treat you like a mercenary. So start acting like one.
Yep.
You don't think if. Let's say Doublelift injured his hand and he could never play again. Do you think TL's going to keep paying him that salary? Of course they're going to drop him on the spot. Like, that's how teams will treat you. So vice versa, players should do the same. But what about loyalty? What about all this bullshit? Where's the fucking loyalty to the players? Where's the loyalty to the players?
Yeah. I mean, there's like for example, like Steve was like a decent owner to me. I mean, he had faith that like my stream would do well, so he kept on paying me like a smaller salary than I had when I was in LCS, but he kept on like paying like at least for like my rented shit, which is in Santa Monica, so it's pretty high. Like he's still like helping me out, but I mean, at the end of the day, like most of these teams, especially if you've just joined, they're not going to show you anything. It's just going to be like, get the fuck out of here.
All right. Like, I mean, let's end the episode. Dom, any final words? Anything you want to say before we close out?
Nah, I thought it was a good episode. Is this the longest episode you've had?
Yeah, for sure.
Probably is.
Yeah, Dorian almost went to sleep. All right, Dorian, any final words?
Not really.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being on the episode, Dom. Later, guys.